Okay, I believe we are live. And let's do that. Make sure the audio's good. Today's gonna be a little bit different. I want to play some music in the background. There we go. Right from the beginning. Right from the beginning. Sweet. I'm gonna put it very soft though, the music. Okay, perfect. I think it should be a nice, cozy volume, and hopefully Nintendo doesn't strike me down. But we'll see. We're at their whims today, I guess. I guess we're simply at Nintendo's whim. I used to do streams with music all the time, and then I stopped just for copyright reasons and all that. But I miss how it felt to have like this kind of cozy, nice music that I enjoyed. So we're gonna let it rock, and we're gonna do some stuff. I think I was doing some changes here. So yeah. I'm not gonna really talk too much unless someone asks questions, so I'm just gonna probably just dive into this, and we're gonna kind of continue off of what I did yesterday, and except do some additional stuff from there. Yeah, we're just gonna continue from there. I did some work off stream to get this to a good state, but or at least to do some things. No volumetric log, but I do have fog being done in this post-processing thing now instead of doing it on the objects, which means that everything in the scene view can actually be like, it's not going to have the fog drawn onto it anymore. So I can actually go into the scene view and not have to worry about that. And right now, what's going on here? There's this fog thing I'm dealing with right now. Let me see. I wonder if this is impacted right now. We had fog working, and now it's not quite working. It's not quite working the way I want it to. That's okay. That's okay. So we have depth is Z. We do this linear 0-1 depth correction. We do this clamping, this fog distance computation, which I wonder, it shouldn't impact anything. This should actually still be division, but yeah, there's something to it. There's something to this. Float A, main color lerp. So I'm using this valley to lerp between there. I almost kind of play some games today too. In fact, let me see what other games I might have loaded up. Oh, I'll check in a second. I just want to get this fog back to where it was before, and I think I'm not going to kill too much. I'm not going to spend too much time today with the volumetric stuff because I don't think it's that important, and I actually want to start working on some of the designs I made and sketched up last time. So I think we're going to do some pixel art probably. That'll be fun. I haven't done that in a while. Maybe even some sketching in Krita. We'll see. But at the very least, I do want to have this fog work in the way I want it to. I did this clamping for a few different things. We might do some stuff to clean up too. I don't know. I might do peak or something. What's up, Julian? Good to see you. Make yourself cozy as we do some Devon. Do a little bit of Devon today. I'm trying to think what we're gonna do here. Let me get this back. Let me go through this version history because I'm trying to remember what change. What is the main change I've done here that is substantial? And I think it's largely just reordering. No! I cleared the undo redo stack. How you doing? I'm doing pretty good. Doing pretty good. Did some deving. Had a nice general day of getting ready for a wedding I'm going to be going to tomorrow, and you know, getting proper, you know, getting my hair cut, shaving, all that kind of stuff. Did some little errands here and there, and now we're back to doing some deving. A little bit of code in here, and just doing some fun volumetric fogs. Oh, thank you, Julian. I appreciate it, man. I'm glad you dig it. Yeah, I'm only like this past month. I mean, I've been streaming for YouTube for like a few months now, or like 2 or 3 months. But only now that I think I feel like I've gotten something that I feel kind of comfortable just working and doing. And we'll see. We're gonna have to spice it up at some point, but it's largely just me doing and coding whatever I want and work on this game. Trying to get this game done, dude. So we got rid of the fog. Let me just start running, and then we're gonna figure out from there. Yeah, thanks, Julian. Hope you enjoyed the rest of the stream. And let's see if we can get some stuff done. I wonder if, because it was working not too long ago. This guy here. And I think the only thing I removed was some stuff from the character sprite fog thing. Because if we draw, like if we return, for example, ooh, something's happened actually. Oh great, our depth sorting stuff is not working. Not sorting, our depth channel. Don't do this to me. I literally had you working perfectly not too long ago. Okay, we're just gonna do this. I get rid of the fog distance part, and then we're gonna return and then hopefully, I believe we're not using the fog function, right? Yeah, we get the main color, we sample the depth texture, we process it to be linear. Life is good. And then if we go here, nice, and now we have our depth map the way it's supposed to be. Beautiful. Depth maps are so freaking cool, dude. They never surpass, or they never get old for me. It's always cool seeing these guys. Anyways, so we have that now. And now instead of returning A, I should be able to do the main color, the fog target color, and then lerp that bad boy. Cool, and now we have our fog. So now we go to different environments. You're gonna have the fog appear. But that's not the whole picture, because the fog, well, there's a few weird stuff that comes from using this. There's actually a weird little effect that's going on here, and it's because we're rendering it at not a fixed aspect ratio. Here we go. Now this is going to be rendering correctly. But now another effect isn't working correctly, but we'll deal with that later. That's a CRT effect thing. But this is now kind of working. And the last thing is this coefficient, or I guess not really a coefficient, this is dividend or divisor or whatever, which is this depth or fog color component. And this dictates a value of how close or far away should the fog appear or disappear. Did I make it an actual coefficient? I actually can't remember. I have to look at this while I'm working out. Let's go, dog. That's pretty sick. Now, I was about to comment like, yeah, but usually when I work out, I just listen to music. But actually, no. I've been listening to like Computer File. Like I put on Computer File and I'm just like on the background, like, all right, yeah, Brian Carnegie, or I don't know his last name, Kernigan. Talk about C, man. Talk about the good old days at Bell Labs, dude. Do continue. Well, hopefully you this is good. I mean, it's kind of connected, you know. You're building your body, I'm building an application. We're building stuff, dude. Come on, what's going on here? Yeah, the fog. The CRT thing is one thing. Let me deal with the pixel size here. And make it significantly smaller. Occlusion culling? Yo, what's all this? It's a game. Yeah, there's some kind of occlusion culling that I have implemented here. It's not strictly accurate occlusion culling. It's much more like region-based occlusion culling. I have a GIF in the Discord. I can show it in a second. No, but right now I'm doing one part of this. The general goal is to implement some volumetric lighting. But in doing so, I'm also implementing just general fog within this application. So you see like how now there's fog available or visible here, and then I can go to different areas and they have different fog values. But right now it's just using the default value from this from the depth map. And as you saw, there's regions where the fog will change to different values. And not only do we want to change the color, but we also want to have the ability to change, like, hey, how far or close is the fog? How dense is this area in terms of fog? And that's what this term here is meant to represent. This fog. Ooh, I did a bad. This is supposed to be fog distance. So that should hopefully fix that part. This counts as 2.5D game? Yeah, I guess so. I mean, 2.5D is a weird terminology because it's been kind of contorted to different things. There's games that are fully 3D, but they have a 2D presentation. Like Metroid Prime, for example. Or not Metroid Prime, whatever. The new Metroid game for Switch. That people can consider 2.5D. Fully 3D environment, 2D presentation. And then there's a game like this one where it's like actually fully 3D, but it's 2D sprites within this environment. So I guess it's technically kind of 2.5D, but at the same time it's a very weird thing. It's a very weird, odd conundrum of like classification. You know? Kind of gives you an identity crisis. Okay. So we added this fog distance thing. And I think originally I had it be a divider or dividend. I'll show you this stuff though. Also, what's up, Ilias? JetBrains Rider Unity. You already know it, Emam. You already know it, Emam. You already got it right. Yeah, I'm making a game. We're making a game right now, dog. Shaped cow. Bad boys coming together. Yeah, there's a bunch of things I need to do. I need to optimize this because I think I know there's a way to make the data more compact and whatever. Okay, so what I'm thinking we're going to do is have this be a coefficient instead of a division type thing. And what I'm going to do is we have these fog zones with data here. And let's just see how this looks like with like a value of 1. So that should be the original OG fog zone area. But yeah, the occlusion culling thing I'll show you in a second. Because it's not strictly accurate. It's not accurately occlusion culling, but it essentially does what it sets out to do. Yeah, fog distance is not behaving the way I'd want it to. So let's set these all to be the same, just one distance. And that should theoretically give us the same regular. Yeah, here we go. Here we go. And now if I am to change this value from like 1 to like, let's even, instead of doing this, I could just simulate what this looks like here by plugging in the coefficient directly. If I do like 5, that's gonna put it further out, right? 1 second, guys. Let me catch up in chat real quick. Okay, dude. Yo, got any tips for a small game dev? It really depends on what you're trying to do, man. Especially because I may not be qualified to give advice depending on what your goal is. If you're trying to do commercial game deving and you're an independent developer and having your own company, I would recommend getting this book here. It is called the Game Dev Business Handbook. Very informative, very cool, and gives you a lot of practical advice for things that are not strictly like the technical side of making games or design or whatever, but much more business oriented, intellectual property, how do you do deals with publishers and that kind of stuff. It gives you a nice look into the things you may not know that you don't know. Yeah, it's odd for me. I'd say if the 2D and 3D assets are mixed, then it's 2.5D. If it's converted from 3D to 2D, that's just post-processing, I guess. Yeah, it's a weird thing, Levin. Make Megabonk 2. What's Megabonk 1? Also, what's up, Jeremiah? Is that hooked up to the actual PC? Yeah, it's hooked up to the actual PC. This is a real PC running this stuff. Do you need help from an expert 3D game artist? In terms of work, I actually was looking at potentially outsourcing some 3D work because I do everything here. I do the music, I do the art, and of course the programming, and I enjoy doing that stuff. But unlike pixel art and music and coding, 3D modeling is not my proficiency, and I feel like my skill tree and time, I've like reached the limit on like these different areas. Like I'm stretched pretty wide. So if there's one thing I'd have to outsource for this game, beyond like things like translations, it would be 3D modeling. That would be something for when we enter production. We're currently in pre-production right now. But I'll definitely keep your info and contact in mind, and if you send me like a portfolio, I'd love to check it out, because I do want to do something that's better than what I've been doing. Oh man, giant keyboard. You already know, man. The keyboard's an IBM Model M from 1985. It's ultra noob, zero experience. What's the game called? I don't even know. I've started off as Messy Mansion, and I might go back to calling it Messy Mansion, but it's also on Newgrounds. I published it as the demo, or not even the demo. It's not even a demo. It's a prototype. I published it as Stain World prototype there. So I'm not sure what we're gonna call it, because I realize Stain World is not great for SEO optimizations. If you want to play a really bad version of the current game, feel free to try this one out. This is a look at the game that I did like a couple months ago. But yeah, I mean, it's a cool look, but the game is going to look radically different and be structured differently, mechanically speaking. And also look a bit different too. But yeah, that's a whole thing. On Newgrounds, hey, bet. Which graphics API does Unity use, by the way? It uses any API. So keep in mind, right? Unity, like many engines, or big commercial engines like Unreal, supports a bunch of platforms like Windows and Mac and consoles. And each of these platforms have different graphics APIs they support. Like, I mean, they all generally support OpenGL, but Windows, for example, does like DirectX 11 or 12 or whatever. And then Mac uses Machine, I think, or no, Metal. And then consoles can have different things. It can range from Vulkan. They probably support multiple things, like also OpenGL. And by the way, my Linux stuff is using OpenGL. And then there's also like platforms like Web, which uses WebGL. So Unity supports like pretty much every single graphics API. But usually you're programming in HLSL, and then when you do your builds and compilation, it'll be transpiled to whatever graphics API you're using. What's up, WWE fan? Bye-bye, software engineers. AI replace everyone. Sadly not. I mean, not sadly, but I think we talked about it yesterday. I think AI is really just going to replace the bottom tier programmers, which is bad because people start out at the bottom, and that's how you get senior developers. They start somewhere, right? But I don't think it's GG's. I don't think it's GG's. Interesting. So I'm finding this quite interesting. I have to specify floating values in the shader. So 1 works perfectly fine. Maybe like my changes are way too extreme. So I do like 1.2 or something. Still unhappy. Oh, does it need to be clamped? Is that what's going on here? And we're still not happy. Why are we not happy? Totally, A just whacked out the unmotivated. I don't think it is GG, but we'll replace desktop fields. Why do you say desktop fields? That's like a very wide thing. Gotta go. Hope you have a good day. Thank you, Julian, and I hope you get your goal. I appreciate it, man. We're here for the journey. We're here for the journey. Jobs, the economy of the world is going to drop. Beautiful IBM keyboard. Thank you, Thinker. Do you have anything for me to know more about coding? I mean, I do know quite a lot, especially if you're someone who's like starting out. But it really kind of depends on where you're at and what you want to do, man. It really depends on where you're at and where you're trying to go to. Only if you're a software engineer, you know AI can't replace. Yeah, like, and I've tried AI, right? And maybe there's some more integrated stuff, but like, there's a bunch of reasons, not even just due to like the performance, the hallucinations of AIs, but there's also the issue of accountability. Like, not in terms of like morality or anything. CEOs don't care about that, but on the basis of like, okay, how do you explain to shareholders why that this product you thought was going to take like a few months to develop turns to a couple of years because the AI doesn't understand the specifications that are given to it, or didn't predict this thing and implemented it very wrong, and now there's going to be a humongous cost to refactor things. You know? This is cozy. I'm glad Wolf Studio. It's Wolf Studio. The goal is to be cozy here, guys. Hopefully, I'm just here to be a random curmudgeon who's trying to make a game and yapping about games, art, whatever. Coercion, no. Coefficient. I could just call it fog. I already know what it means. Text-to-speech aged quite weirdly. In what way? Desktop equals data scientists, programmers, anything related to a laptop. AI will replace all those fields. Nah, Levy. I don't believe that. And it's not even due to AI performance, right? Like, Like the biggest barrier between product developers or product managers, let's say that, and developers is that like you have this boundary between product manager or designers or whatever and developers, right? Someone who's defining making the definition of what this product is going to be, and then developers who are actually implementing this thing, right? The idealized world for AI is that product managers or designers or whatever can get rid of this and instead replace it with AI to do their stuff, right? The issue though, and then we can do this to like add this other level of like the final, let's say code, right? The issue here though is that like the biggest point of boundary, the biggest point of cost here isn't between developers and writing code. It's the English communication of like defining what this behavior is, right? And you find that English is not a very efficient way of describing how applications and states should work. There's a lot of nuances to implementing different things that English just doesn't quite get, right? Like even maybe especially within like things like games and VR applications, for example, right? Which is much more relevant to what I'm doing. But like in other applications too, the boundary isn't the English or just language, natural language is not very efficient for communicating specifications that translate to code. So like there's a certain level of efficiency of having a human who can just intuitively just go do the code and actually implement that thing versus trying to always explicitly detail it out, right? And for things that require rapid iteration or constant iteration, it's far cheaper in this level than it is over here. I'm not sure if what I'm saying makes sense, but that's the thing I've kind of found out. And there's like attempts to try to mitigate that, because there's things like, oh, the products that are like meant to be designed at the syntax, like a control flow level where you have like this graph and then you can try to translate that. I know like React Native has some stuff like that too, but it kind of falls apart when you start getting to very non-trivial nuanced things and behaviors. Let me catch up on chat, guys, my bad. Also, I'm also using Unity for my capstone project. I don't know if that's bad or okay. Nothing's bad or okay, dude. Dude, anything is working, like any engine's fine. I'm using Unity for this, it's fine. Like these are tools that work pretty dang well. And then, you know, of course you want to make an engine, that's also really cool. I've been doing my own engine to make a tool that fits my hand very clearly. But if you're still getting like acquainted with these tools, then it's perfectly fine. Like I think it's very beneficial for someone to like use other engines before making their own, because you start understanding kind of what the lay of the land is and the kind of problem spaces engines require. But then as you get better at it, you start defining where your pain points are with engines and what exists that doesn't exist in current engines and what you can do in your own implementation, you know what I'm saying? Hi, have you tried Raylib for some game development? It's a great platform for indies. It's cool. The thing is, like, if I'm gonna be writing an engine, I like doing everything myself. Like my current engine. My bad, guys. 1 second. Like for my current engine, I'm just using just basic GLFW, one or two things, but like I'm very much like, I like things being very bare bone because I have very specific beliefs about how I want things to be structured. And Raylib structures things in a certain way, and it makes sense for it because they're very modular and they bundle these different things in different ways. But I have my own idea of like how I want my application to behave and interact and work and all that kind of stuff, right? So, and how shaders and all that stuff should live and be compiled and work. So like, so I usually use my own thing or do my own thing, but Raylib is cool and there's a lot of cool stuff that people are doing with it. But yeah, I like the ability to just make a tool that does exactly what I want it to do and, you know, behaves the way I want it to. Yeah, I'm breaking. There's one thing I need to fix though. I'm fixing fixed updates on that. So I'm gonna do that later. It's worked. Trust me, it worked. There's a vision here, okay? We're breaking some basic low-level stuff right now, okay? We're breaking some basic low-level things right now. Trust me, this worked yesterday. Or it kind of worked yesterday. Oh, man. What are you trying to ruin or make? Some volumetric lighting. AI always forgets things or just even doesn't understand what you want. Yeah, it's an issue. That's a really old desktop. How does it still work? I mean, it's just peripherals. Under the hood, it's like a pretty beefy machine. Or not beefy, but it's pretty good. Pretty modern. Yeah, NV top. Like, we're running a 5060. We have like a modern AMD CPU. Like, it's not that bad. It's just the peripherals that's old. What editor theme? Oh, it's Grovbox. Are you coding? Yes, I am coding. Also, what's up, Oraki? How good are you at leak code? I don't know, man. I haven't done leak code in forever. I'm probably not great. I'm probably like most of the stuff I'm solving is gonna be I'd probably be like in a 50th percentile, maybe a little bit lower. You know, like I'd probably get things working. But I don't know, I haven't done leak code stuff in a while. Like, I don't really, like, I like coding for actual projects and applications. Like, in a weird way, like, leak code is just, like, super hyper, like, people, like, you have to do it for, like, jobs, or at least that's how it used to be. I'm not sure that's still the same case. But that skill set you develop for leak code is something that's, like, used, like 1% of the time in your job. And even then, like, it's never the same way leak code is. Like, leak code's like, hey, here's a very well-known problem space, and you're gonna just memorize all these different types of solutions that exist for it and approaching it. But in the wild, it's like, okay, if you're doing something that's interesting and novel, you're gonna be encountering some weird problem spaces. And first of all, like, leak code does the thing of saying, hey, there's a problem here, right? Or like they'll take your implementation and they'll just do the profiling for you, right? But it's a different thing to have something implemented and be like, all right, clearly we need to either do something with memory or speed. Let's profile and understand what exactly is going on under the hood. Where is the cost coming from? Like investigating and identifying where these points that are infringing on your technical budget are. And then after you do that Sherlock Holmesing, then you can start going to the algorithms and be like, all right, what's the algorithm that's going on here? What is it generating in terms of memory or computation? How long has it taken? All right, let's start thinking about how to make things get speeded up. And even the mechanisms for speeding it up are very different, right? Because like leak code, you're doing something that's not known, but for actual proper like work, if you're doing something very interesting or weird, you're probably gonna have to start learning how to read academic papers. And find different algorithms for different spaces and compare and contrast them and think through them a little bit and try to understand what's going on. And that's like something that leak code just does not foster in you. Because Artie, I like old peripherals. Can you run solitaire on 60 FPS in that setup? I don't even have solitaire. Guy here, what are you doing? I'm doing some 2.5D 3D action and trying to get fog working great again. And I'm trying to understand why this coefficient is very odd. Because the next step for volumetric lighting requires the depth value to be done. And I don't like this banding that's going on either. We're gonna have to deal with that at some point. But yeah, like this depth value is weirdly kind of finicky, and I'm not liking this. We have this depth value. And let's actually just make this called raw depth value, because then there's this conversion that's happened from linear to linear 0 to 1 depth, because we're using a high precision encoding for the pixel values, and that's all cool and dandy. Oh my goodness, I suck. Here we go. Okay, let's clean it up a little bit. There we go. And now this should look a little bit more sane, because now we have this. Now we're going to be doing like multiplication on the depth post normalization. So maybe that should hopefully change things so that's not weird or broken. I might still have to clamp it, but hey, and it's not like weird and jacked up. Cool. And let's see, because now we can barely see the back wall. Now let's start playing around with weird and wild depth values. Okay, see, we need to have clamping for a reason, guys. Though that looks kind of cool. We're going to the abyss, guys. Paradoxically, leak code being popular Hearst recruiting sign, it's a learnable skill unskilled people can push through anyways. Yeah, this looks cool. Thank you, local host. the premier HTTP website. Great concept of a game. You vibe coding any of this? Nah, no AI, no vibe coding, none of that stuff. I like doing things the hard way. I feel like you grow and learn better, and I think you get some crucial fundamental knowledge by doing things the hard way that you just don't get from AI. This is the second devlog like I've seen so far. It looks pretty good. Hey, thank you. This is the second devlog. Yeah, we're working on it. I'm gonna be preparing the next devlog in like a week or two in the Discord. What is the name of your programming language? I'm using C# and HLSL for the GPU stuff. We love clamping. Clamping is great. No thanks to Frost. I don't know. From how many years are you coding? Like 15 or something. I can't remember. I started in middle school. And I'm almost 30 now, so it's been a while. It's been a little while. It's been a little while. So yeah, we're gonna clamp this bad boy. Little 0-1 clamp. Nice. So cool. The bigger the distance, so it's kind of inversely proportional, weirdly enough. So the bigger the fog distance is, or I guess you could think about it less as fog distance and more like fog density. That'd be the best way to think about it. But we're trying to think about this in terms of distance, so we can make this inversely proportionate, and now it'll be the opposite. So now the smaller this value is, the closer the fog will be to you. Yup. Beautiful. Okay, so now I can replace this constant with instead the fog distance global variable, or global uniform, or whatever. I don't know what it's called in shader language. Get rid of this linear I stuff, and let's save this. Let's commit it. I think committing is good. I'm a guy who likes commitment. Yeah, so we're gonna do some commitment right now. 1 second, let's go to MM. What are we gonna say? Got fog working, or fog draws in post-processing now. Push it to the origin. Discord should pop up, I think. There we go. The Discord. I have the Discord update automatically with my git commits. Let's go to the dev kit and do the same thing as well. Beautiful, dude. DSA, am I late? What is DSA? Why don't you use relative line number while you're using Vim? I honestly don't know. I really don't use relative line number. I'm so used to doing up and down, but That'd probably be good to do. That'd probably be the next good thing I need to do. I think 100% no AI is also a bit too far in some cases. Like vibe coding gives you nothing but AI is still a very useful tool. So here's where I disagree, right? And I talked about this yesterday as well. But like, and keep in mind, this is not my day job. I do this for the fun of it. I enjoy it. I like this. I like coding, right? And part of it is not just the thing I'm making, but also just the enjoyment of coding. When you use AI, it gives you a solution outright. And the way you did it before wasn't that. You'd be Googling online and searching and going through all these different side quests until you finally piece these things together. Even today I was going through that. And sure, it takes longer. And if you're in a professional setting where there's deadlines and stuff, okay, maybe there's a consideration there. But for me, where my focus is A, getting good, and B, just enjoying working and getting more knowledge and enjoying making this project, you start learning all these other things that you wouldn't have learned otherwise, and having that knowledge makes you much more well-rounded as a programmer. I think yesterday I was talking about the idea of this example where for my game engine where I was implementing this fixed time update, and there's some weird stuff about it, and during this little side questing I started learning about operating system scheduling a bit more and understanding, oh, sleep doesn't behave the same way on every single places, and that sleep, in fact, thread sleeping doesn't have guarantees about how much they'll sleep for. It oftentimes just establishes a minimum, not a maximum, right? And that different operating systems have different implementations that you can go for. And then from there, I started learning about, hey, clock things actually have different precisions, and there might be some other things related to that you have to take into consideration when you're doing profiling or all this other stuff. And there's different ways of using this clock timer. And like, this is all information had I AI'd given the AI the code and described the problem space, I wouldn't have learned about this. But now I have this in my back pocket where now if I start dealing with threading and concurrency or some other stuff, I have this knowledge on my backside, you know? Or not even necessarily concurrency, but also for like real-time effects. And like this kind of thing, even though it might seem like some weird esoteric knowledge, that's kind of the knowledge that oftentimes is needed, and sometimes AI doesn't provide when you start consulting it, and it might be a blind spot. So I think there is immense value in doing things the hard way with no AI. A lot of value in doing that, and I think the things you get from that are going to be the things that kind of separate you and kind of makes you harder to replace with AI. But you know, my take. Everyone's different. Thinks, ooh, another game dev, legit programming, but sub because of the setup. Thank you, Wisdom. I appreciate it, man. Thank you. I use AI for is like, I need to refactor this, so each of the declarations below change signatures to accept XYZ. Just like boilerplate, that's obvious. Yeah, and even then, like, there's IDEs that do that for you. Like, I like Writer because I can do large-scale refactors and not worry too much about it. You know, I can change the name of the thing and all the usages and maybe even namings, it'll change dynamically. That's like brain dead stuff, like greppable stuff. And even then, like, I don't know. Like, and I'm not opposed to AI because there's this idea of like different knowledge realms where there's things that you know, and there's things you don't know, and there's things you don't know, right? So oftentimes you're facing something where it's like, all right, there's things that I just do not know about this space in general. And there's clearly gaps in your knowledge, and you don't have someone who's knowledgeable to help you out and whatnot. Okay, cool. AI might be a good resource there. But even then, like, I wouldn't trust the AI to tell me the things about that I don't know. I'd ask it for resources and cite itself so that I can use it as a springboard to actual reputable sources and get the information directly from there, as opposed to this process thing, which may be 80% correct, but maybe 20% incorrect. You know? So I think there is good ways of using AI. I'm not inherently opposed to it entirely. And in a professional context, like I said, that's why I prefaced that little rant with the idea of, hey, this is me coding in my spare time for fun, for the enjoyment of it. outside of my day job. But within a job setting where there's, especially if you're like for example managing a feature and there's teams and people you're coordinating with and working with, and you have to like get people unblocked and make things so that people can work asynchronously from you and all that kind of stuff, then yeah, you have different pressures at play and different prioritizations. And if there's a need for AI, then sure, try it out and use it, right? If that's like the need be, right? But in this space, we do things different. C#, let's go. If you make a ladder in a game, how would you implement it? I'm thinking about that actually. I've been thinking about that. Cause like, first of all, like, do we want to have ladders in the game? And if we do, how do we want to make them cool? Cause I hate ladders are just kind of boring. Like there's Mega Man ladders, and then there's like, actually there's not. There's like Mega Man 1 ladders, and there's Mega Man 4 ladders. And I mean, to describe what I'm talking about, let me do something real quick. Let me go on Steam, actually. 1 second, guys. Give me a minute. We're gonna have to go on Steam for a second, just so I can exemplify what I'm talking about. But the actual gist of it, like, I have wall grabbing collisions. Autumn sale, by the way, boys. If you want some games for cheap. So there's like wall grabbing logic here. If I haven't done that, sprites there. So that's not too crazy. There's already this concept of, hey, if you're colliding with this thing, you're gonna go into this state. So climbing a ladder would be no different. It would just be, instead of a horizontal collision box, you'd be having a vertical collision box and then a specific state within the player for climbing a ladder. And now if they press up, they'd be going up the ladder, and if they're holding down, they'd be going down. It's really just extending a state machine with a new state. But that being said, I really like, there's a game I play a lot called Mighty Dust Force. Not Mighty Dust Force, what am I talking about? Mighty Gunvolt Burst. And one thing I love about it is that there's ladders there, but the way you can climb up it, you're not stuck at this fixed rate of climbing up it. You actually jump really quickly and re-stick to the ladder, and it's faster than normal climbing, so you can spam jump and you just start shooting up the ladder. And I like that. I like having options for navigating and manipulating the world and giving agency and freedom to movement. Like, I love Smash Brothers Melee because like two people can play the same character, but they have very different ways. They have so many options for movement that you can tell what person is controlling that character. I can say like, oh yeah, that's this person, or that's Bob, or whatever. Like it's pretty sick, dude. It's pretty freaking sick. Is it HTML? It is C# and Unity and HTML. No, it's not HTML. I'm using HLSL for the shader language for all this GPU coding. It's a Microsoft design thing. Damn, your sub looks cozy. Thank you, MarkX. That's the goal here. I have a 5080. That's pretty cool, man. I have a 5060. I upgraded from a 2060. Feels pretty good. What's happening here? What's going on, Mr. Gunvolt Burst? Why are we not happy and running? What is going on here? Linux Gaming. Okay, am I just gonna put you? Oh, okay. It went full screen. It went full screen. I'm not sure what to do here. Okay. Weird things are happening. I'm scared. I feel a little scared, guys. Is it because I got rid of PyCom? I don't know. 1 second. Yeah, I can't see chat for whatever reason. 1 second, guys. Bravo, we're going dark. Okay, I think the game is running somewhat, maybe. It's like 2 frames per second. Okay, I'm hearing something, but I'm not seeing anything. Alright, 1 second, guys. This may have been a mistake. Okay, let's go to options. Let me. Can we please move down a little bit? All right, options. Okay, we're just gonna quit. Yeah, end the current game, yes. I'm sorry, guys. I wish I could show it to you, but I don't know why this is being weird. It worked fine with my normal setup, but with a CRT in the mix, it just makes everything very quiet and very complicated. Yes, I'm trying to quit. Oh my goodness, this game turned into a virus. One second, I think we're close to getting out of this. Okay, we're back to this game. Oh my goodness, dude. All right, we're gonna do this. Oh my goodness, this is a nightmare, dude. Oh no! Don't do this to me. I'm doing Alt-Shift. I'm trying to do Alt-Enter to open up a terminal and do something, but nothing's going on, dude. I can't even see chat right now, so I don't even know what's going on here, guys. Okay, I'm back in my other game. Oh, this is a mistake, dude. Oh, dude, alright. We might have to do a hard shutdown for a second. That's ridiculous. I can't believe Mighty Gunvolt Burst was a virus all along. I should just open up my Steam Deck. I have a Steam Deck right there. Okay. Okay, we're back. I think we're back. We're here. Okay. Yes, end current game. Okay, we're back. I made it through, guys. We survived. We survived. That was so dumb. That was actually so dumb, dude. Awesome, thank you, man. The resolution isn't a result to... Yeah, it's not working. Is it a potato PC? No, it's a good PC. Your aesthetic's so nice. Thank you, Safe. We're going dark. Play Cyberpunk with ray tracing. It'll probably be fine, honestly. I don't know why this is being weird. I don't know. Yeah, ladders is a whole different thing. Finals, I don't want to update. Get out of here. Get out of here. Alright, sorry about that, guys. I've learned my lesson. We don't game with this right now. Not as things are right now. We don't do that. We don't do this in this household anymore. Right now, you just dev. I'm chained. No enjoyment. But yeah, you can just spam jump and then you climb up a ladder really fast. And I'm thinking about having different movement options because like we have dashing and that's fine. But I'm trying to think of some more creative ways of having cool movement for the game and our character. Have this issue when you switch workspaces when you have Unity and need to drag your mouse around to refresh the page. Yeah, it drives me crazy. That's what's happening right now, actually. I have to like go like this to have the components come back. So I don't know. Maybe I just need to go to Hyperland or something. Maybe that's what we need to do. Maybe we just need to go to Hyperland and everything will be good and dandy in the world. Do I even need this? Also, do I still have? No, I don't. Okay, good. Yeah, we don't need this. Yes. EMR right now? I guess so, dude. Question, what PC are you using? Just a normal, regular, modern PC. A regular, modern PC. Running a 5060, a pretty good AMD CPU. Don't ask me what it is. I completely forgot. I have to go into like PC part picker to remember what it was. Yeah, it's like 60. It's pretty good. It's not bad actually. Just old peripherals. So let me going back here. We committed our stuff, so this actually works correctly now. And we're using. Oh my goodness. I hate that this loading reconfig thing does that. Okay, and we're using fog distance. Perfect. So we're all good here now. This function behaves correctly. Now we have this logic here for trying to do this volumetric lighting thing. We're gonna see what we can do here. I'm gonna try to work it. If it doesn't work, I'm just gonna abandon ship and start working on the next feature for the game, because I already have like significant specifications for what I'm trying to do here. So and I think we're also gonna have this take in depth as well, because we're gonna use depth to determine how far do we iterate down, so we don't have to keep doing crazy depth iterations every single time, and go from there. I'm using Ubuntu. Using Ubuntu with i3 window manager is not that stable to be used for prod. Okay. I always hear about this Wayland versus X11 stuff, and people paint Wayland as like the promised land we should be at. But I might have to try it out Hyperland again if that fixes it. Yeah, honestly, I'm wondering. I also use PyCom for compositing, but I have it turned off right now because it was causing some stuff. On the subject of AI, I just remembered I tried using it for something that actually was really good. Like in Unity, I wanted to make a spider graph scriptable object, but I didn't know how to get custom inspector with draggable handles, so I told it what I wanted and it did an awful job, but I was able to see the rough use case and then use that like a draft. Oh, that's sick actually. That's pretty sick. Yeah, and like me dogging on AI earlier isn't about the efficacy of AI, because there is that thing like, sure, we can focus on the 20% or 5% or 10% hallucination rate. That still leaves a majority of the time where it's actually doing things accurately and helpful. So like, you know, it's not that there's no utility in it. Not at all. It's simply that like, I think the more we rely on it, the more we start falling into learned helplessness. And that's the big thing I fear, or I like to avoid. Well, I intrinsically enjoy coding and making games. But yeah, my aversion to AI, I mean, it might be just an old curmudgeon thing too. Back in my day, we used Stack Overflow. We used to go with Stack Overflow, and we used to look at very mean comments to find that one line that was actually helpful. Grr, you'll never get me, AI. So it could be that part as well, but I think there is legitimately a learned helplessness issue that will and can and probably is already arising right now with people. Step distance, yep. I think I have this implemented correctly. And then we have this. And then we have our function for getting light at sun point, at point. No, get out of here. Light color, final X, Y, Z. Okay, so this is not gonna work, but I'm trying to figure out, now we're gonna try to figure out why it doesn't work, why I just get a black screen. One thing I was able to confirm though, was that we were for sure getting unique positions, but ooh, that's not good. Why is that not good? You want a float 3? You have a float 3. I'm returning a float 3. What is a shader compile issue here? Oh, did we recompile Yeah, we recompiled something on the CPU side by accident. The way you move through your code, you press a lot of keys. Yeah, because I don't like using a mouse. Vim is great. Also, the whole zeitgeist and market hype around literally not understanding what LLMs are. Yeah, like AI is gonna take your jobs, but not the way people think. Companies go all in on AI and then, yep. For specific fields like medicine, physics, but not for what people not use it for. Every problem. Yep. Coding skills. This is what really studies showed, by the way. That's what a real study showed. That's crazy. That's crazy, Code Raven. But I believe it. Had color. They do have colors, but if you think there's too much colors, they have a green option to get rid of the colors. Like if the colors scare you, you can indeed just get rid of the colors. They have an emergency button for that. When you see, hey, there's too many dang colors here. Get them out of here. Pull them out. Well, we have just the button for you. The emergency green button. Oh, and it's like this because I didn't initialize this guy. Final color should be float 4. I don't know why it has to do, like it doesn't assume. It should just assume. So now we're outporting the world space position. The weird thing is that as the player moves, I'm not seeing any changes here in like the color. And it should be. I'm moving forward. So there's at least one component that should be changing values, but there's not any value changing I'm seeing here. It only changes values when I look around. So either the local transform is odd, or there's something else going on here, because we're doing a matrix multiplication on this camera local to world, and we have this local coordinate that we created for ourselves, and we're doing that conversion. So I'm not sure what is going on here, but that might be the problem. Oh yeah. From where I'm sitting, it's like some CEOs put lipstick on a rooster, on a toaster, and everyone's like, "Oh my, how long until alerts to love?" Only 38,000 errors. Ship it. Yep. What about electrical engineering? Would AI take that profession? I can't really speak about it. I can't really say if AI is gonna. I don't have enough knowledge in that domain. AI isn't taking anyone's job. Go to Wendy's and see how many of the awesome that AI drive-through was. Oh yeah, that was crazy. Yeah, we're using C# and HLSL right now. Unity is always C#, and then yeah, HLSL for GPU stuff. Which right now, this is the main thing we're doing is GPU stuff right now. This is all shader code looking at right now. So syntactically looks very similar to C# or I guess in some cases it's kind of very similar to C. It's actually kind of more similar to C, because like when you do this including thing, it's like basically copying in everything from this file into this file, and it's basically the way I do my C builds or C++ builds using a Unity build or glob build or whatever. So in a weird way, it conceptually behaves more like C, because you have this, and then you also have macros, or you have your defines, which you can make like an entire language just by doing weird stuff with define. It's pretty. I like it a lot. I wish C# had macros, but at the same time, that would make things really gross. Like it's great for me, but it's gonna become gross once you start having other people in your project. Thank you, Saiba. Promptify Lab. Just work on a game right now. What's up, Study Studios? Well, Vim Motions. When these AI drive-through on YouTube, you'll see, yeah, that's crazy. The AI drive-through stuff. Well, it's kind of a peak example of like kind of bad use case for it. Like, and then like a couple of companies tried doing that, and then they pulled it out, and some are still too deep in it to get rid of it, but you can tell it's bothering them. It's causing issues. But yeah, it's a weird applications in weird places. Like outside of the weird human relation stuff with AI, which is also very odd, there's also the odd stuff of like Like the ideal place you want to have AI is in situations where you can tolerate some amount of error, and where you still have some human person looking over it and validating it, so that there is still some form of accountability and checks, because inherently AI has hallucinations. That's just a fundamental part of it. We've gotten very close to that regression curve. We can't really we can't get past that improvement versus variability or heat, I guess what they call it, or randomness versus cost. I'm not too knowledgeable about it though to really speak well about it. But that's my understanding, is that we're kind of reaching that asymptotic limit, and there'd have to be some fundamental change or new model or paper that comes out that changes how you do it. But right now it seems like you're kind of stuck with some error. Not a lot of error, but still it's enough error where like it can cause problems, and you still need to have some kind of person involved in it. So where is the other place I have? Okay, if I can't solve this in 5 minutes, we're going to start moving on implementing some stuff. I'm just going to work on implementing. I know it's here somewhere. There's a multiply that happens somewhere. Okay, cool. Worlds to local, sun, float for with a 1 on the W. That makes sense. And you're using the matrix here. Oh, that's a different thing. That's for the vertex from object to world space. That's a different thing. Here's camera world to local, and we are using the iWorld space position. So I think potentially what might be happening or causing issues in our shader. Yeah, and the reason I'm putting a limit on this is because I need to actually do things that are productive for the game. Like, visuals are cool, volumetric lighting would be cool, but that's not a deal breaker. You can still have a very nice looking game without that. Oh my goodness, what's going on here now? This is way different. That's a way different output, which I'm happy about. It's just a little odd. And we're still outputting position. So now position is, the value we're calculating from position is changed. Interesting. What advantages of FreeBSD over Linux? Can't say. One thing I know is that FreeBSD is like tightly coupled vertically, which means there's far less variability, and in some ways it's a lot easier to develop for, to my understanding. Whereas, like, because Linux is so modularized at so many different levels, there's so many different permutations and flavors of Linux. GNU Linux. Or just Almond, I got you. That it becomes harder to support Linux, GNU Linux as a platform because of the variability. Whereas, like, FreeBSD, I think conceptually would be actually easier. But I don't know. I don't know too much. I'm not too knowledgeable about that. A shader depending on camera rotation. Yeah, because I'm not using, even though I'm using Unity, I actually implemented my own lighting model. I'm not using Unity's lighting at all. So we calculate our own lights, and we're using this as part of this volumetric lighting thing as well. And interesting. I wonder if this might just work. Let me try something here. Yeah, but I use luminescence, but it's probably wrong because I'm pretty sure luminescence has like it's an actual unit when it comes to lighting, and I forgot not photography. I forgot what the field is called. And I'm definitely not having this value be described that way. It's much more relative to a normalized value that's like aggregated and then a bunch of stuff. But yeah, it's not the luminescence you might be thinking in terms of. Probably a misnomer. Lets you set desktop backgrounds for shader. Oh, that's sick for rejecting the defaults. It's fun to reject the defaults. You get cool, interesting little visual artifacts, which part of the game is the idea of I want this to feel like this is a game for a console, a fictional console, and because this game is for this console has some weird quirks and visuals that, you know, make it look very odd and different in some cases. And that's kind of like because you see this thing, you play a game and you can kind of figure out, you know, what engine is just based off of the way the surfaces are rendered and the lighting model they have. And I kind of wanted to escape that to some degree by having our own light model, so that, sure, it's Unity, but there's some weird artifacts with lighting that you just don't get you just can't reproduce normally with Unity's standard lighting model that you get here, you know? And I hope people notice it, at least maybe subconsciously, but at least for me, it's cool having that and having that control over the lighting, because then we can do a bunch of weird and cool, wacky stuff with it. But why? Learning programming is very easy, especially if you're good at math. Is float 3 a struct? I mean, I'm assuming it probably is. I don't like normal C# Unity. It's always a struct for the most part. Yeah, I think it's always a struct. It's a value type. It's always passed like that. It's always a struct. In HLSL, I'm pretty sure it's a struct, but I'm not sure. Maybe it's actually backed by array, but they allow it to be treated like a struct. I don't know. I really don't know how HLSL does it. But yeah, this definitely fixed things. In fact, why am I doing this float 3? I can just do... Can I do this? This weird swizzling of like a float 2, a float 2, and then a float, and then a float. Can we do that? Will you allow me to do this? Are you gonna be mad at me? I hope you won't. But you may very well be. So I'm not really getting anything here. We have this light, we have the result, we double it, or divide it by depth. That's the number of iterations you're kind of going through. Okay. And then finally we do the compositing here, which is just lerping the original color, light color, and then lerp value. Let's try doing something weird. Let's try returning a light color, just out of curiosity. Let's see if we're getting any hits at all when we look around. Where is the player at? Where is the player at? Mr. Player, there you go. And let's put you next to a light source that should be within your vicinity. And then we're gonna hope and see that we get some kind of lighting. Oh, there's someone, I remember someone was asking about the occlusion culling stuff. If you're still here, I'd be totally down to show you the video in Discord. Okay. Okay. I think it's actually working. I think it's kind of working. Maybe the UV multiplicative might be wrong because it's from 0 to 1, it's normalized, when in reality this is going to be a variety of different things. Okay, well, I think we might be close. I think we might be onto something here. Though even if there's no color, it should still just show this. What is HLSO? It's a high-level shader language. What are you coding? So I'm trying to do some volumetric lighting. Yeah, that tracks. I never played with shaders yet. Shaders are really fun. I love it. And I think if you start playing around with it and wrap your head around parallelism, you're gonna find it to be really cool to do too. If you're used to traditional linear computing. Shaders are an algorithm run once for every pixel, and it's so strange writing the code that way. Well, it's a bit more than that, because it's not per pixel. Like in this case, I am doing it per pixel, but in terms of rendering the objects in screen, it's actually a little bit different. And there's different stuff beyond just effects on the fragment shaders. There's also effects on the vertex stuff. Like you might be noticing, I'm not sure if you see it on screen, but there's some weird wobbliness or warbliness when it comes to the meshes. Yeah, let's just comment out all of this. So like there's some, let's see if I can find a mesh here. Yeah, so if you look around, if I wobble the camera, you might be noticing that the vertices of this fountain kind of wobble a little bit. That's like a PS1 type of effect. And that's actually done in something called a vertex shader or a vertex pass. So there's actually this whole pipeline for drawing 3D objects, HLSL, or I guess DirectX shader or render pipeline. So there's like this traditional pipeline for graphics. Yeah, right here, where you see this kind of stages where you have the input, and then you have your vertex shader stage, your hull shader stage, tessellation, domain shader. Most of the times you're just dealing with like fragment shaders, which is usually like this pixel shader stage, and the vertex shader. And then the other stuff in this pipeline you don't really think about too much. Maybe geometry shaders if you're doing like particle stuff, maybe, or generating some geometry. But yeah, so like there's this whole pipeline that goes on here, and it allows you to do this weird kind of transformations of the things you see on screen, and you can get, there's a lot of power in doing that, and that's what's used to draw everything. And if you understand like that stuff, even within Unity, it actually kind of does a lot of heavy lifting. If you ever want to do like that cognitive structure you build in your mind, or schema you build in your mind, will be super helpful for whenever you actually do, like if you decide to do maybe your own engine, or if you want to do some more intensive, interesting shader stuff, even within a regular engine or any other engine. These concepts are kind of universal. Now there's some new changes that NVIDIA is doing with their like mesh shader thing. They have a different pipeline, but that's a different thing. It's a different thing, but it's cool. It's cool, and I think a lot of these principles are still going to apply there to some degree or another. Is an app? It's a game. Goes through several passes. The vertex, fragment are the main ones you have to worry about, but basically it goes from object space, world space, view space. Oh yeah, and that's like transformations that go there. Now you ask, but why? Critical thinking. Yeah, critical thinking is important. We need to do that. I think it's important for us individually to be doing that. Okay, but yeah, this is weird. I feel like we're kind of close, actually. I feel like we're not as far off as we think we are. I think the issue here is I'm doing like what I think is going on here is that over here, this local space coordinate we're creating is using the coordinate of this, like the XY coordinates from this UV, which is a value of 0 to 1, and then some kind of offset forward in the Z direction. And I think the issue we're having here is that this is just small because it's from 0 to 1. So in terms of world space, it would be like 1 square meter. Whereas the camera is, in actuality, is probably taking much more. It's definitely occupying a bigger space than that. Like if we look in the camera in the game scene, where's the main camera? I know you're around here somewhere. Don't hide from me, Mr. Camera. There you are. Go away. Go. I want you to go away. Oh my goodness. Unity, why didn't you think about CRTs when you're designing this contraption? Dang you. I'll never forgive you, Unity. All right, let me turn off gizmos for a second. Oh, right here. Oh, we need gizmos, those. Okay. Where is the camera? Yeah. Okay. So we're actually probably using a wrong matrix. So the way I was thinking about it is actually fundamentally wrong, because I'm thinking about it orthogonally, but this is a projection matrix. This is like a perspective camera, so we need to do like a perspective matrix to have the points radiate outwards in different Oh my goodness. Okay, we're gonna have to do some maths. Are you an indie game developer? Yeah, I am. Some game studio. I'm connected to my game studio. I'm connected to the game studio I started. You know, a little known game studio called Cozy Cabin Games, known by a whole 5 people know about this game studio. It's crazy. But yeah, beyond that, no attachments. This is everything I do here is for fun. It's my personal time. I do this outside of my day job because I don't know. I enjoy this kind of stuff. It's cool. It's rad. I think it's pretty sick. Gone? What happened? I'm coming for a long. What? Are you saying you're gone for a long time? Ma dear, what's going on, ma dear? I'm much more of a proc gen guy than a shader programmer though. One thing I was really proud of was a voxel engine with procedural meshes that drape over the chunk topology, almost no overdraw. That's actually pretty sick, dude. Volumetric stuff is so weird and wild, and there's so many different algorithms for creating topology for that. I think actually in one of these streams, I was playing around with some voxel, like creating volumetric, making a voxelized mesh for volumetric data, and then I did some smoothing. But yeah, there's way more to it than people give credit. That's pretty sick though. That's pretty sick, man. To someone planning to be an indie game developer like you, where to start hardware, etc. I mean, I feel like nowadays, even like mid-level laptops or whatever, you can do very reasonable game deving on there. Hardware, I'm not like, that's not a big restriction. You can do game deving on almost anything, dude. Like heck, I have a cheapo laptop that I like using it to test the games I make to make sure that it runs on it. This laptop has like 2 gigabytes of RAM, and like half of it's used by the OS. And if you go over it, and it has like 2 extra gigabytes of swap. And like, if you do too much on it, it crashes. But I was able to write my game engine there and use it. I'm not sure you can use Unity on it, but I was able to run this game on there and it worked fine. So I don't think that's the issue. I think the biggest thing though is just to start working on a project. Have an idea in mind and just start cranking at it, dude. Start cranking at it, dude. Oh, did you post it? Okay, 1 second, guys. 1 second. We're about to witness greatness here. We're about to witness some greatness. 1 second, guys. Let's see this. What do we got? What do you got for us here?
All right, so
oh, you got narration.
that I implemented is going to be a little more involved, so I figured I'd make a video to display what's going on.
Okay.
So we launch the game here, and you can see.
Nice.
You can see here. This is what's actually happening. This is the visible terrain.
That's sick, dude.
You can see here, even though this stuff is being pulled, it's still generating this terrain. These are just the box colliders that I added to the chunks. So the chunk prefab has a box collider, and the camera, you can see, has its own box collider. I think I'm
Sick.
planning. I think I should actually change this to a view thrusting culling, and then just cap off the LOD, like maybe put like a plain collider at the end.
Oh, is this one just unified mesh? Yeah, because Unity already does some frustum culling, but if it's one unified mesh, it's not going to work with that. So you're going to have to do some other type of thing to implement view frustum culling for only rendering the meshes that are actually visible. That's an interesting problem to tackle.
That it's not beyond it or something.
And then you have all these different colliders. I'm interested.
The camera just moving through the terrain, and as the front hits new chunks, the mesh renderer gets turned on. They're already there, but they're just.
I'm assuming you because you said you're doing proc, right, or procedural stuff. But are you at least using Burst, the Burst compiler, to do this kind of thing? Out of curiosity. Out of little curiosity. Hope you don't mind me poking and prodding. But I'm just a little curious. And also, let me go back to YouTube. Hooker, what's up, Daddy? Each chunk is a mesh. There's a vertex limit that you hit real quick. Got you. Oh yeah. I mean, they have the extended one, but even then, it's limited. But you can extend. You have it. There's like the N32 index thing on there. But yeah, no, there is still a mesh limit that you can hit and encounter. Ooh. Okay, let's check this one out too. 1 second. But yeah, so you have to stitch it out. I was wondering if you're doing that so you can have like a simplified collider, and then once you're within the bounds of like a chunk, you can switch to more precise collision. Okay, what is this though? Okay, we got some physics on these puzzle pieces. Cool, cool, cool. Cool, cool, cool. It's a lot of puzzle pieces that are being simulated with physics. 1 sec. Alright, let me go back here. Back to the live. Add octaves to the Perlin noise. The terrain looks a bit too flat, but it's cool. Yeah, I mean, that's a separate thing. I did use Burst for a procedural runtime puzzle generator project that I called Puzzy. It's a completely procedural. Okay, cool. Edge and grid parameterizations and whatever you imagine you want. Okay, that's sick. That's sick though, dude. Dang, brother. You ain't no slouch, man. That's some cool stuff you got going on there, man. That's pretty freaking sick. Pretty freaking sick, dude. No, you got me wanting to do some cool mesh topologization stuff. But alas, a game requires things that are not technically super interesting, but are required, like game datas and whatnot. We're probably gonna do that in a second. Let me just do one last thing here. Let me just try one last thing, and if it doesn't work, I'm probably gonna have to do a little research, and think about using a projection matrix and how to convert that to world space, because it's probably not going to be the way I think it's going to be. Because ideally, what I'm probably going to have to do is do a conversion from like, this is going to be a coordinate within the projection space. And then we have to convert from projection space into world space. That jump is where I'm like a little fuzzy on, and I'm probably gonna have to look at this off stream when there's not people looking at me, and I can be dumb in the comfort of like privacy. So I can actually understand the math that's going on here to do the conversion. I'm just curious though, before I do that. In fact, we're probably gonna dip out on that and switch to implementing something else. But I'm just curious about this thing. Let me go into the, where's the C#? Here we go. Okay, we have the camera. Do you have a projection matrix? Projection matrix! Actually, no. That might not be what I'm looking for. Maybe it is. Because I know like in OpenGL there's like a specific definition. There's a specific like orthogonal matrix, and then there's like a perspective matrix. But it's just called a projection matrix. I'm not sure if that's what it is or if it's some other space, like clipping space or something. But okay, we can probably pass that in. I don't know, we're gonna have to do something with this. What IDE or OS is this? Ubuntu, i3 window manager. We're using Unity, and then we're doing C# within Rider. C# and HLSL and Rider. IDE C-Lion. No, I use that for C++ projects. Times got to yours, game, the coding, the end. Brother, what are you talking about? I might need you to help clarify that a little bit. Second, I want to answer your question. I just don't understand it. And we have to do a whole to-do here. 1 second. Regen, render, regen, texture, or I guess update dimensions when resolution is changed. So you have to have an event to listen for that within the settings. I have to implement this whole settings module thing and have a thing for broadcasting out changes to it, which that's not crazy. It's just figuring out what I want to broadcast. Individual field properties or maybe general stuff, or I don't know, maybe like little modules within that module. Little struct states for particular things like resolution, which would contain information like not only the pixel resolution, but also like if it's full screen or some other enum values and stuff. What are you going for doing for living? I'm a programmer professionally. That's my day job. This is just my side job or side fun thing. And of course, cache the property because we're gonna be good boys here. We're gonna cache the property. I don't like that it's called my depth, but whatever. This is fine. It's good enough for now. And I don't need these stop processes anymore because I kind of figured out what I want to do. I just need to leave notes for myself to remember what I need to do. Make convert to perspective matrix. Then convert to world space. Yeah, that's the main thing here. We're gonna have to do some Googling. Vim, yeah, Vim motions, baby. Very visually appealing setup. Thank you, Shaheen. I'm Iranian, and when I'm asking something to you, have it wrong word. Yeah, don't worry. I'm not putting you down. Like I said, it's not me dogging on you. I want to meet you. I want to provide what you're asking. That uses Vim motions. It's great, dude. What he's asking is how many games have you shipped and can I kiss you? Okay, if that's what you're asking, then okay. So games I shipped, not that many. I think most of them are Newgrounds and maybe stuff from Game Jams on my personal itch account. But I think I've only done 3 things completed. Let me see, what games do I have in here? What games do I have here? I should really just bookmark my page because I go there enough. Yeah, the only 3 major stuff I've done, I think these 2 are the most involved projects I've done, and even then, they're not really that good. They're very shallow games, mechanically speaking. Like this game, I was just learning Unity, and I really didn't do much coding at all on this game. I mostly did art and music. And then for this one, I did it all, but it was in GameMaker using GML, and it was not a great experience. I mean, it's a it's a finished thing, but I have a bunch of other game projects. I have a ton of game projects that are pretty developed significantly. Like, let me go to Discord real quick, 1 second. In fact, I might as well just, okay, 1 second. I think I have the Discord here. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna just open this guy right here. And I forgot about this. This is the underlying tech for the puzzle edge generation. Then I imagine a grid of these and project it into the 3rd dimension for the procedural mesh. Oh! That's the thing you're doing. Okay, and that's... Oh, you stitched it together. Okay, I think I undervalued how complex this was. I just saw a bunch of puzzle pieces fall down with physics. I was like, oh, maybe you're doing some physics stuff. No, you're actually generating how they fit together. They're not just a puzzle or arbitrary puzzle pieces. They actually fit together seamlessly. Got you. But yeah, going back, there's like in the dev updates channel, there's stuff for this game a lot, but there's like characters and all this kind of stuff. Always have to have it on the CRT. But yeah, there's this game we were working on before, Crimson Crown. Yeah, here's Crimson Crown in action. So this is an actual, like, that was the game I was working on previously to this, and I decided to switch because this game is much more complicated and involved, and I wanted to stress test my dev kit with a simpler game first. But like a procedurally generated dungeon crawler, roguelike. Like, this game is... every time I go back to this game, I realize just how polished this thing was. Like, the presentation was so polished. Yeah, we need to finish it. And then here's the procedural level generation. That's nothing crazy. It's just graph stuff. Graph theory things. And old versions of this game. I really don't have... I didn't post that much videos here. That's kind of sucks. And here's the music for the game too. I composed it, by the way. I composed. And then my boy Joshua Ambrosio did the dynamic stuff in Fmod. And we had the time stop ability. So you can stop time and everything would be subject to it. And even the audio would be changed by it. Yeah, we're gonna get back to work on this game after Messy Mansion. We need to. This game is like too good looking to not do it. Oh man. Oh man. Very experienced. How long have you been coding? I'm an application developer myself. I always wanted to do game dev, but it's just way too hard. Really? Because I feel like it's... I mean, there's some things that are hard and there's some things that are not hard about it. I've been doing game deving since like middle school. That's like where I started. Last video, I promise. It's okay, man. This is the spider graph I developed, basically an arbitrary scriptable object data container that is visually configurable like a D&D character. Interesting. Sick. That is nice. That's really nice scriptable object stuff there. That looks so freaking good. That's like a first class feature. Honestly, dude, that's actually so freaking good. Are you using because I know Unity has this new UI builder thing, which is significantly different from the old way of doing it. The way I currently do it, which is like the extending the editor and building out the UIs through like an immediate mode type UI thing. But going back to your original question, yeah, so like working with shaders, procedural generation. Okay, yeah, so like there's a lot of... Yeah, so games is this weird box where it's like... There's so much things that... There's so many different rabbit holes you can go to, and like you can kind of make your career sometimes just by being experienced at one particular rabbit hole or something. Even though I've been programming since middle school and making games since then, I feel like I've only actually got good. Like I actually got like good within the past 4 years just due to getting a job and being surrounded by other people who are really knowledgeable. And not even doing game dubbing, but just VR stuff. But it was very, very insightful, and the people I work with are awesome, and they've taught me so many different things, and I really value it. And yeah. But honestly, like, these things seem scary until they're not scary. Like, shaders used to be scary for me, and then you figure out how to just change the color, and then just by learning how to change the color to fragment pass, all of a sudden you start getting ideas for all these other different things you could do. These things are not that crazy. And in fact, you can even get away with not even using shaders to make games. You can make games without any custom shaders. People have done it before. People have made games with very big limitations, and it's perfectly fine. And yeah, maybe there might be some stuff like, hey, not familiar with 3D math and stuff like that. But honestly, it's not that crazy if you have some basic algebra ideas. Like, if you can understand a number line, you can understand 2 number lines. And, once you start doing other things, you might realize that, hey, it's not that crazy to add another number line there. And all of a sudden you have 3D coordinates and velocities and stuff like that. But if you want to do games, just start by just figuring out how to make a thing move, and you'll be surprised that just by doing that, you start having ideas for other stuff. And then the other thing is implementing the same thing over and over again. Like I said, there's so many game projects I've made, and even if they never got published, I've had to implement player controllers dozens of times, and each time I do a little bit different. I have some knowledge from before, and you know, it makes you get a little bit better at it. Iteration is the biggest key. Iteration is the biggest important key factor here. Iteration is the biggest thing that's going to help you grow faster, and you know, that's been my experience across all these different disciplines. Yeah, so we're gonna have to do this. We'll do this projection matrix thing another time, because that's gonna be a can of worms, and I don't have the skill for that, and I'd like to read a little bit about it. Just understand what's going on here. Like, what exactly am I doing? Well, like, I just have to investigate a bunch of stuff. What exactly is the projection matrix in Unity? What is it actually? What's actually encoded in that? What does it use? Like, what space is it used to transform points from? Is it transforming from local space or world space or whatever? Like, there's a lot of questions I have. A lot of questions. Okay, so we're gonna leave this as is though, because I think just how things are already though, it's pretty good with the lighting. So the next thing I'm gonna work on, we have a little laundry list of things I want to do. So the stuff on my mind. I can start building actual game logic. So we're gonna have this hub world, and there's gonna be doors. And when you go to these doors, they're gonna display information about right? About you know, your rank in the game or level info, all that kind of good jazz. So there's two fundamental things we need to implement here. There's just the actual in-game representation of this. But then there's actually the back-end data stuff. So game data. So like some kind of state representation of your level of progress in the game that needs to be saved into save files so that it's persistent and your best changes get represented there. So we can work on either of these two things. Another thing I could do is on the dust cleanup mechanic. We can do this optimization I've talked about before of like having, instead of one mesh or one texture, dust texture, we actually chunk it into smaller ones, so you only update the ones that are near to you. There's also the idea of unpacking, instead of having a float 4 represent the state for 1 cubic meter and have it be redundant information, actually have that float 4 of a single fragment or pixel represent like 4 cubic meters. So that would shrink the data and the size we need by a significant factor and make writing to this texture quicker. So a lot of different things we could do here. If you want your game to become harder, I have some ideas. Well, we're gonna do game tests. So I mentioned here that we have a Discord, guys. By the way, we have a Discord, so if you want to join, just check the description to the video or go to cozycabgames.com. And I'm gonna start doing. I'm gonna start bringing back bi-weekly testing sessions, or at least trying to, just to get people's feels for things. Because lately we're in pre-production and we're just kind of getting some basic stuff, like foundational stuff going. But I think now we're getting to this point where I want to start testing out mechanics and validating it against people and seeing how they feel about it. Maybe in a basic game loop, so we can see how people feel about it. Something as simple as a hub world with one level, and just see how they feel about that ranking system on there, and then go from there. Hey, someone joined. Thank you, Stuntmans. Enjoy your stay here. But yeah, so there's this channel I have here called Game Testing, and when I do that, I'm gonna post it here. There's gonna be a link to the game online, and I'm gonna be super open to feedback from all y'all. Doesn't mean I'll have to go into the game, but at least like a benevolent dictator or king, I will at least hear the requests of the people. And we'll see. And we've had a lot of stuff get added to the game through this too. So let's close things down here because we don't need a lot of this stuff. We're not gonna do this rendering business no more. At least hopefully. Maybe the camera controller might stay around. And let me also just commit my current changes. Oh, it's on MMDK, my dev kit, the Cozy Cabin dev kit. One second, I'm gonna catch up on chat in a second, guys. Just give me one moment. No, I didn't mean to commit that. I just made an empty commit. No, I didn't. Okay, good. More changes. Or really, I just documented needs, but whatever. Cool. All right, back to here. Have limitations, especially as a solo dev. Lean into your strengths, and that's how unique stuff gets made. Also, something unique to a game dev that you don't get in a lot of other software is like, you got to be willing to kill your baby. Oh yeah, 100%. Nothing's precious in games. Always be willing to rip out the bad stuff and do it. Yep. I mean, like, I'm doing this for fun, and I have no investors, no shareholders pressure me to get this game done today or next week or this quarter. So like, I'm perfectly fine taking time to rip things out and make it good, or at least as good as I believe it could be or should be. This is for the fun. Knowing what you know now, if someone was just starting out, what advice would you give them? Pros and cons, will we stay away from coding as a whole, not necessarily game dev, etc. The biggest thing I always say is iterate quickly. I think there's this, do I have it here? I know I have this xcali draw page somewhere where I talked about this whole skill thing. If not, it's in a previous stream, but TLDR, don't get stuck on a game project, especially early on. Like, just follow your interests. When you start a project, there's a ceiling of how good it can get before like, there's a ceiling to how good you can get to that. And the more you iterate, the more that ceiling resets, and hopefully you learn something and that ceiling gets higher and higher. So this is going to be very brief because I talked about this yesterday a bit, but one second. Let me see if I have xcali draw, if it still has my space here. Yeah, oh my goodness, why is it so glitched out? Oh my goodness, what is going on here? All right, whatever. You have this graph of like quality and time, and every time you start a project, there's a limit that's just inherently there. It's just a limitation of your knowledge. And or it's a limitation based off your knowledge when you start a project. And as you work on a project, you start getting closer to that asymptote, that limit. But the more time you spend, you don't really progress that much on there. You start approaching the limit, but never quite getting there. And the only way to really reset it is by refactoring and doing a whole rewrite, which is basically starting a new project. So I find that, and this is not only programming, this is art, music, all this kind of stuff. Resetting and frequently kind of allowing yourself to get significantly into a project, but then, starting something new gives you much more opportunities for growth in that ceiling. So that's like one advice, is don't get too hung up on a project, because you might be stuck long term on something that has very diminishing progress. Oh my goodness, Kix, Kalijaw, what's going on here? Second thing is surround yourself with smart people, dude. People who know more than you, because there's a circle of things you know. Oh my goodness, xcali, what's going on? One second, let me go to Miro. One second, guys. Give me a minute. One second. So if that's lesson one, there's the other lesson two. There's a sphere of I know, things I know I don't know, and then the things I don't know that I don't know. This sphere is like the biggest limitation of like growth, and I spent a lot of my time stuck there. And the only way I moved on from this, having a lot of information of game deving and programming, was being exposed to people who know this stuff. And all of a sudden, things that were used to be in this category of things I don't know that I don't know started moving into, okay, I know that I don't know that thing. I know that I don't know what Git is. But now if I want to learn more about it, I know it's a thing and I can search it up. Or object-oriented reusable principles for reusable object-oriented programming. Okay, I haven't done too much coding stuff. I don't know Uncle Bob or whatever stuff, but someone brought it up, and now I know that I don't know that. And it starts giving you more vectors, shaders, what that is. things start going here, and then that becomes a place where you can start taking actions and actually moving stuff from this category to here. The boundary, the progression from here to here is far harder or far easier than the progression from here to here. And the only way you can really do that is finding people who are smarter than you and being surrounded by people who know more than you. Or if you can, trying to find those resources, right? But usually people who know more and are more experienced are going to be the biggest thing that creates that transition. That's what's been every turning point in my career or my life as a developer or programmer or artist has been through people who know more than me and absorbing the stuff. So that's a second thing. And to do that, go to game jams, get surrounded by people who are interested in this kind of stuff, and know you for sure will find knowledgeable people at a game jam. Ask questions. Don't be too proud. It's okay to say you don't know. Heck, even in an interview, I've said in interviews, hey, I don't know this at all. And they would actually just teach me the thing there on the spot and it wouldn't affect me negatively. So, yeah, that'll be the second thing. And then the third thing is just focus on making something and focus your line of interest. Don't force yourself to do things you're not interested in. If you're doing things you find interesting, you're going to likely progress far more in it than focusing on things you don't want to do. If you don't want to do MongoDB and that's not interesting to you, just don't do it then. Focus on whatever thing is interesting to you. And maybe, I guess, if you have to learn it, sure, for work or something, whatever. But like if you're in your spare time, if you're trying to get good at programming and you're doing this stuff, like follow your line of interest. If you prefer doing shaders, then DB stuff, do that. I feel like what really helps my creativity is learning new programs and expanding my creative outlets. I never thought I'd end up learning Blender or After Effects, but it really helps me out get ideas for my code. Honestly, yeah, you get inspiration from so many different places. Dude, I got a lot of inspiration for level design or just game design in general from my vacation to Puerto Rico recently. And like, I saw a place and it just like triggered something in my brain, and I was like, hey, this makes me wanna... Also, what's up, Stuntman? Lil bro? Or ill bro? Yeah, I think there's a picture somewhere here where someone was talking about that, and I was talking about how, yeah, coincidentally, yeah, this area in Puerto Rico in San Juan, super sick, and somehow it got me thinking about networking and how you design this kind of infrastructure and hub worlds and games and all this kind of stuff. And it was part of this discussion I was having with my boy Kieran. But yeah, you'd be surprised. I think just new experiences, whether it be programs, tools, or even going outside and touching grass, you'd be surprised how things connect. I mean, heck, quaternions came about due to a guy just walking on a bridge, and he got a brain blast, a Jimmy Neutron brain blast, and all of a sudden we have quaternions defined by him. What's up, Post Shalem? I think that's how you read it. I'm sorry that I have this too zoomed out right now. But yeah, dude, it's amazing where you find inspiration. I wasn't trying to type that. Okay, what's going on here? There we go. Okay. What do I need to do? I'll make a new thing. Do I have a folder for progress? I have abilities, power-ups. Nothing for level progress. We're gonna make a new thing for that. And then .cs. Sweet. I think someone who learned about singletons, then learned about why they're bad, and then introduced a service locator pattern, blows their freaking minds. Yup. Everyone goes through that, man. Everyone goes through that kind of thing. Like, I remember I just kind of programmed things the way I almost kind of programmed like things were in C, you know? And then for work, I started learning about reusable patterns for object-oriented programming and inheritance. And I mean, I knew about inheritance, but I started actually using it, and interfaces and strategy patterns. And then I started using these kind of things everywhere and abundantly, even in personal projects. And I started realizing, hey, this might be more. A lot of these things are actually oftentimes like concessions made to make communication barriers easier, but are oftentimes, or maybe not always, the most efficient way to do things. And then I started backing off from that and approaching things differently. And now, like, I had a more tempered outlook in how and when to use these kind of structures and patterns. But you kind of go through this whole cycle. Like, you don't know about it at all, and then now you know about it and you start using it everywhere. And afterwards, you start having a more tempered understanding of where and when to use it and all that kind of stuff. And then sometimes go in the opposite direction, like with my game engine, where I'm like, I'm not going to use any of this stuff at all. We're going to treat it like C, and we're going to make things super cache coherent, and we're going to just use fixed allocation for big things, like for not big things, for everything. Everything's a fixed allocated for the most part. We're stack allocated and super cache coherent, man. And I know what kind of game I'm making, so I'll just allocate everything up front, and everything's just indexed into a pre-allocated buffer. Oh man. Hey, you're Puerto Rican, or were you vacation? No, I'm Puerto Rican. I'm half Puerto Rican. Nope, I'm really. If you ask my mom and my family, I'm fully Puerto Rican. I'm also half Guatemalan. But no, my family's far more attached to Puerto Rico. Not using LCD or LED is kind of nice vibe. Hey man, that's what I'm here for. My first time any live. Hey, nice to have you. Hola Yinka, Benjamin. If I may ask, what are you using a CRT? Why are you using a CRT? Why am I not? Why am I not? I mean, truthfully, it's just for fun. I enjoy it. I use a normal LED for work and stuff. I like having something different at home. It makes programming and interacting with the stuff different, you know? Ooh. I already have a level state module. Progress data. Okay, this is a separate thing. Yeah, I will do. Okay. Do this stuff later. I'm gonna honestly re-architect this because I don't like how this stuff works. But we'll deal with this later. Let's just think about the data we're gonna be dealing with here. Made enough money to not have to work a day in your life? Nah, not even close, man. But I'm fine with that. I actually enjoy my day job. I like the work I do, and I find it to be pretty meaningful in its own right. He's coding from 1986. Interesting. I'll be coming here more frequently. Hey, I appreciate it, Benjamin. Hola, Yinka. I appreciate it. Hopefully you find it to be a comfortable, cozy environment, and, you know, hopefully we all learn some stuff here. So let me grab a sketch, because I think this sketch better illustrates this level progress thing. The type of data we're going to be modeling here. I got smuggled into Puerto Rican ethnicity. My mom remarried and my stepdad adopted my brother and myself. So I'm an Irish, Swedish white boy named Diaz. That's hilarious, dude. Favorite food when you go out there? I love paella, but I'm used to like inland U.S. paella with whatever the hell you got around, and bacalaitos. I usually have you like bacalao in general? It's pretty good. Honestly, though, like it's very basic. It's very basic. But it's who I am, man. I like my normal mofongo. Mofongo with churrasco. Oh, I spell it. Churrasco. And with garlic sauce. I forgot. But beyond that, a simple go-to I always go to is pastelillos. I don't know, like pastelillos are my comfort food. Pastelillos are so good, dude. Pastelillos de pollo, carne, whatever, dude. Like, it's always so good. Those are my two go-tos. But the arepas are really good. I like that. Tostones are very good. Just a lot of good food. Let me grab my sketch. So what techniques are you using to make a game like Viewfinder? What techniques are used to make a game like Viewfinder? Like where they shoot dots at stuff? I don't know. What is .cs? Oh, C#. Yeah, C# SB. Also learning Touche design. What's touch? Oh, touch designer? No idea what that is. It's fire. Churrasco? I don't know. It's like steak. It's like steak strips. I use Blender also. That's cool. I'm very weak at Blender. 3D modeling is my biggest weak spot. Like, I do a lot of pixel arting. That's my main. That used to be my main thing. I used to like be a professional pixel artist. Like, I was a freelance and contract artist. You know, sometimes I'd work with an agency, but a lot of times I'll just freelance. And dude, I love pixel art. It's my favorite. I love pixel art, man. I don't know why I started talking about why I love pixel art. But yeah. But yeah, Blender 3D, that's my one weakness. Music, I'm great at. Okay, it sounds conceited. I think I'm great at music. I love the music I make, dog. I'm my own #1 biggest fan, okay? Maybe everyone else may not agree, but I'm my own biggest fan, dude. Pixel art I dig doing, and then coding has become wildly probably my biggest love. Or one of my biggest loves. But type. But whatchamacallit? I forgot why I started doing this. Oh, you're talking about Puzzle Finder. A puzzle game, it's pretty cool if you want to check it out. Let me check it out. While we're at it. Yeah, I have you here. Come on. Unity recompiling ruins my day every single day. Why on earth would you compile my code, Unity, when you could just not? Viewfinder. Okay, let's peep this out. Pretty cool. Taking pictures. Oh, brother, that's pretty gnarly. That's pretty gnarly. Yeah, I don't know exactly how you do it. I mean, it's probably using the transform of the object you're holding. You can get the proper, either like, there's probably some transform matrix you use to multiply, and then it would match the same. You'd have the same orientation of that object. Now, how do you have the mesh generated from that? That I'm not too familiar with. I have to look at this. That's my instinct, though. Because I'm curious as how they do this. Me and you both, man. I'm curious. I'd like to find a professional here who can tell me how we do this. This would be a fun project, though. I'd love to try doing something like this and just see how I might go about it. Because I can already see that's like one idea, but the mesh looks very clean. So it's not like, and it's also subject to collision. So you can't just like grab the same mesh that's used in this image, duplicate it, and then like mask it off, because you still have these boundaries that are subject to collision, right? That's a lot of interesting stuff. I don't know. Like me, trippy. I was originally a music major, sound recording technology. Oh my goodness, that's crazy. Been learning Psytrance lately, just for funsies. I'm trying to hopefully tie off this track I'm working on next week. Hey, that's sick though. I'd love to hear this kind of stuff you do, dude. Feel free to post that kind of stuff. I mean, you already posted some other stuff, but in general, you guys, we have a Discord channel, and you can post some of the stuff you're working on there. It's pretty cool. That's pretty nutty, dude. There's like I don't know. Like I feel like there's. People think of art and music and coding as fundamentally different things, but honestly, they're very connected. And if you find the right metaphor in your mind to connect these things together, hey, let's see this. But yeah, if you can find the right metaphor and the terminology that kind of creates that connection, you'd be surprised how many things translate over, like how ideas of architecture and code translate to music production and specifically arrangement and song structures. Nice. Nice. You're an FL gang too? I'm an FL gang dude myself. That's sick. But yeah, what should we call it? Yeah, even with music or even with art, the idea of tension and release, that's a whole thing that applies to music fundamentally. In the case of art, tension release is contrast or value. If you do a Dorian value study, everything you're doing is tension and release. This is super sick though, man. I dig it, man. Let's really go. That's pretty sick. FL Gang Gang. What's up, bartender? How do I join the Discord? It's in the channel description. And if not, worst case scenario, cozycabingames.com. There should be a link to the Discord there. And it's to let me know if the website's broken. Actually, I guess not, because I'm going to rewrite it anyways. So let me do the thing I said I was going to do. Let me grab my notebook. 1 second. Okay. Here we are. That was under my other notebook. So, a bunch of different ideas here. Oh, and the notebook's falling apart already. Our draw's so freaking small. So I'm not sure if you guys can see it in the bottom camera. Maybe you can. The bottom camera. So we have these doors that are going to be in the hub world, right? And on the top of them, you're going to see this little pop-up that indicates your ranking, your current ranking in the level, the current score you have there, and items that have been found and items that have not been found. That's information that needs to be saved and stored within some kind of data system that can be saved into the game save, into the save file. I need to make this terminology better. So that's like a big, important thing we need to do, and we start need to model it. So there's kind of two general stuff. Score, which is a very simple idea. And then the items that have been found. So these are the two key data that they need to be serialized. This will be simple enough. It's just a float, and it'll be best score. I don't know why it's private by default. Items is gonna be a little bit more interesting and tricky. You have an idea book? Of course, you gotta have. I have a bunch of idea books. I have idea books going back since middle school, dude. Thank you, bartender. I'm glad you dig the setup. I read this blog a long time ago that I keep coming back to. It's incredible. I'll put the link in the resources, the whole breakdown. It's a way of visualizing music. Interesting. I'll check it out. What's up, Adulai? Nice to have you here. Hope you're doing well. So this items thing, it's gonna be a little bit more tricky because we need to have some kind of unique ID to this object. And then, I mean, it's gonna be kind of simple, and there's a Boolean state if it's found or not. In all honesty, you can probably, no, I'm not gonna do a hash set of just unique IDs because we wanna know the IDs that objects that do exist and don't exist. So that's the thing we have to do. That's a for sure thing we have to do. Hey, what's up, bartender? Welcome aboard. And let me check out this, or at least open it up so I can reference it later. Computer-based music production comparison involves the eyes as much as the ears. Representations of audio editors like Pro Tools and Ableton Live. Ugh. I'm sorry, I don't know. Maybe I just have to get better at Ableton. And grids and linear graphs. Some visualized systems are purely decorative, like psychedelic, semi-random graphics produced in iTunes. Okay, so some systems lie betweens. I see a rich potential in this graphical systems for better understanding how music works for new computational methods. Here's a sampling of the most interesting music visualization systems I've come across. So it's kind of like a foray into different interesting looks at visualizing music. That's a wild notation. And he has like this kind of spectrum of like very methodically kind of like data oriented as Pro Tools and Ableton, or I guess very highly structured versus highly abstracted visualizations of it. Interesting. He's talking about Western music notations and different ways of, yeah, more analog than digital. Yeah. I'm gonna skim through this real quick because I'm just curious at like what is circle of fifths mention, my favorite, or circle of fourths. Time, yep, games, and then Hertz bands. I don't know. There's something about GIFs, animated GIFs, especially for data, that's so cool to me. This is trippy. As it's looping. Oh, like representing loops in this? Okay, like actual physical loops. By the way, have you guys seen the new Audacity rework? What is this? This is getting crazier the more we go down this. Okay, some of this is not loading, I think. I'm gonna give this a proper look in a second. My thing is, I just can't use any software that looks like trash. Unironically, that was my biggest inhibitor to UE4. Yup, saying I don't like UE. Yeah, UE5 is much cleaner. And I am Hero with an idea save game. What's up? I think you're just coding without idea and you make a game about cleaning. It's a game about cleaning, but it's also a structure that I have in mind. And it's kind of using some things that already pre-exist before. But this is something so this is part of the first playtest I'm gonna do, is I want to test out, because I've seen this kind of game loop, and this is kind of the game loop I want to kind of achieve. That incentivizes playing. So I want a game that intrinsically motivates the player to play it. And the game that I found that did that quite well, and that was an inspiration for me, was Dust Force, but bigly was Mighty Gunvolt Burst. And I like the idea of the fact that like you can clear your level and get all the items, but the scoring isn't necessarily just based off of, oh, did you kill everything or did you not get hit or whatever. Games, you're usually getting power-ups that makes you stronger. But in this game, the more power-ups you have, the more deduction from your score. It makes sense. So on top of power-ups, you can also unlock handicaps. And then you can start learning how to play the game with these crazy, weird, wacky handicaps that makes you feel way smarter, or way so much cooler for having used it. You don't necessarily have to use the handicaps to get a good score in these games either, but it gives you different options for getting that better score. And I find myself like meditatively kind of playing these levels over and over again and just trying to, not even necessarily speedrun, but just kind of optimize for getting better scores. So that's one idea I'm playing with here, which is part of this upgrade system, ability system, but I'm gonna have to refactor this because it had one general idea, and this is architected in a way where you can just upgrade elements. But now that we're going to add the ability of like handicaps and decrements, I have to kind of think about it differently, because the numeric value isn't always necessarily the best way to describe it. But at least for this, the data that we're modeling here is pretty simple. I mean, kind of simple. This unique ID thing for items, that's a separate thing, but that's not that crazy either, honestly. Like, it can be as simple as just a GUID per item. So like, it might manifest in the form of like, I don't know, a dictionary maybe. Oh, and this has to be nested as well, because there's a bigger level of abstraction where there's multiple levels. So a single level will have this data nested into it. So we probably want to make like a public struct, I think, would be a good thing to work with here that maybe has like a dictionary. I'll keep it simple, not too complicated. No, I don't want to make a dictionary class. You, me, both know, unless I typed it in wrong. Did I type it in wrong? Yeah, system collection generics. So it can be as simple as like a GUID and then a Boolean for item lookups. Item states. Or something different, but something essentially kind of like this. And then, of course, this best score thing. And this would be just like a list of this nested level state data. So this is definitely a place we can start with. And then we can think through about what is actually needed for these kind of APIs. I don't know. You know, exploring games, just cleaning without enemy and changing a hardest maze. I say my idea is like question. Oh, so there's actually yeah. So there is, and just so I can understand. So if these are questions, then yes. So there is different difficulties, and there is like not different difficulties. There is enemies in the world, and there's bosses too. There's a video somewhere in the Discord. I can pull it up here real quick. Pull it up here real quick. Also sick. Who? Very creative. Spaces is 3D artwork inspired by Omar. I guess it's advertising. That's the kind of cool stuff though. This is actually pretty cool, man. I dig this kind of thing. That looks really cool. I like this a lot, man. I don't know what it reminds me. It reminds me of something specific, but I can't put my hands on it. Plays the box brings these different things together, shows how many worlds can be side by side. Can coexist. Yeah, it's kind of interesting. It's like almost like looking like you can kind of see the things a person values just by looking at this. That's kind of sick. It's almost like an inverted room, but the space is not quite the same. Like this one seems more like an inverted room. This is super cool though, man. Not even an inverted room. That's not even applicable. Big projects. Okay, I'm gonna have to take a look at this. This looks cool. Hex visualizer. A lot of cool stuff, guys. I'm using C#, some good old-fashioned C#, and then when I'm doing shader stuff, I'm using HLSL. Can't really get away from that in Unity, right? It's kind of the big things you need. It's been good to me though. Okay, that's probably become private, but we'll deal with that in a second. As for GUID, I don't know. I might make a struct or something for like, I don't know, item ID, so I can at least understand what this struct is, or what this, yeah, because like a GUID, like anything could be a GUID, but if I make an item ID and wrap that within a struct, then it's like, okay, I know that this is a GUID specifically related to items, and that's what we're dealing with. Oh, that's you? That's super cool stuff you're doing, Ola Yinka. I hope I'm pronouncing it kind of okay about this game. Yeah, there's a I need to talk more about the game in general too, but spell it in forever. Always call it a GUID. A GUID? I've never heard anyone say that. This is first for everyone all around. This is a first for you, it's a first for me. It's a pretty confusing time we're in right now, aren't we? Very confusing time. Oh, so I don't like Unity. I'm using System 1. Crazy time to be alive. So I think this should be fine. You have the item IDs, and if it's found or collected, it's false, and if it's not collected, and if it is collected, it's true. Simple enough to me. Doesn't seem that crazy, you know? And then the best score, that's fine. And then you'll be able to derive the score, like S ranks or whatever, based off that best score value. Which may be a level. Because scores are going to be kind of ranked differently. Like there's going to be S ranks, A ranks, probably B ranks. Like this is an arbitrary definition, right? But each level may not have the same ones. Like maybe for S rank, you have to have like a value of like, I don't know, let's say 1,000. And then A rank is like 800 and above and whatever. But another level might be like very difficult, maybe. It's very difficult. So we actually decided to skew it down and just to have the splits happen at like maybe 500 and this A rank would be like 300 or something. So we have to have some kind of way of setting up the splits for each level as well. And that'll probably be something I want to be able to configure manually. Probably on a per level basis. But we have to have it a way to query it independent of any of the levels. So we have to have a centralized place that contains that information. I might just hard code that and then change it whenever I want to. I don't know. That doesn't seem that crazy to me. Like, hey, maybe we initialize, when you create this level progression data, the beginning of the application actually has to initialize it with like defaults, right? So maybe have a table that will contain these defaults for S ranks. So like, not necessarily part of level state, because level state, this is mutable data. What I'm describing is fixed data, but maybe it might make sense to keep that here because that's where we have level relevant information. It just shouldn't be included in saving to serialization because I don't want that to be done there. So maybe we'll just do another. How do you want to do it? To have store these splits, like a dictionary of, because we have to have a level ID, which would be like the name of the level, which is like a string. Which, by the way, we need to have an identifier here for levels as well. That's kind of important, isn't it? And we can use like the name of the level, but I don't like having things tied to Unity assets, so that might be weird. Thank you, 2 Cups of Joe. I have grown quite fond of this. What's up, Marduk? Welcome back. I have questions. Guys, anyone know can I use my laptop as secondary screen to my laptop, or how? Shin Oni in chat, don't you dare say I need JavaScript. Don't you dare say I need JavaScript. Don't you dare say that. I've already ranted so much about dynamically typed languages. As for your question, Marduk, I really don't know. I know there's an application a coworker of mine used so that they can have their machine and laptop kind of like have the mouse go from one to the other. But that's not what you're describing. You're trying to have your laptop be the second monitor. I can't really think of a way of doing it. Unless like, you have like an Alienware laptop with an HDMI in that can override the laptop, but I don't think they do that anymore. So I fell down a strudel rabbit hole recently. It's so freaking fun, and the people that are good at it are insane. I've never had a strudel in my life, dude. I'm not gonna lie. I don't know what a strudel is. Is such the best JavaScript devs implement effectively synthetic strong typing? Well, yeah, that's what TypeScript is, right? Like, that's what TypeScript and Kotlin's transpiler does. Like, but even then, like, when something goes wrong in TypeScript, it's like it's usually not TypeScript fault. It's something weird in JavaScript that's happening. So you still have to go to the procedurally generated TypeScript code and figure out what's going on. Because you can have something that's perfectly compilable and accurate within TypeScript, but there's some weird JavaScript edge case or behavior that causes this undefined behavior. Not like not strudel like the pastry. Strudel as in programming based DAW REPL. Oh, I never heard of that. I know about REPL. I didn't know that's a thing though for music. Yeah, we'll do a saving and loading later. It seems like we're gonna have a lot of information here related to these splits. You have to have like some kind of level ID, I think. For now, we'll just use a string. Maybe I'll do something else. And it'll be just like a simple. Oh, don't want to do dictionary. And then array of what? Floats. Rank splits. Cool, so this would be the rank splits, and we'd have like, I don't know. Do you want to make an enum for this? How do I want to go about this? Const int split counts. Actually, no. I'll keep typing. So what, we said we were gonna have what? S, A, B, C, D, E, F. Which is a huge variability. Like, I wonder how good that's gonna be actually, but whatever, we're gonna do that. So that's a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I count 7. I think I could count good. So array with fixed sized. Oh, you don't enforce that? That's dumb. What aviator? Alright. You'll lose a week of your life. What do you mean watching that video I'll lose a week of my life? Like, is this is like the Ring all over again? Is this what's going on here? Is it is it the Ring we're dealing with here? Okay, let's make something here. Set level splits. I think this makes sense. And then we expect float array. We don't even need 7 splits. We only need, because if value is greater than E, then we can or less than E, then we can assume that it's an F rank. Like, we could just assume that. So splits dot length. We're going to assert that this is the size of split underscore counts, and then wrong sized splits. That's a good enough error for me for now. And afterwards, we also have to have the level this is a tie to. And we're just gonna directly go into it. And we're gonna just assume that if you're calling this, it doesn't exist yet. That should be good enough. And then of course, have to allocate it. Same thing here, we have to do a new. Well, that's gonna be a little. We're gonna deal with that later. Well, you can't without always having to delete the word. Leave me alone, Alucard. Let me be bad in peace. I'm used to my split keyboard, okay? This is what, okay, let me show you what I use usually. I mean, not to say that I type any better on it, but I'm more used to this. This is what I usually use. This is my go-to, man. This is how I live. I use my beautiful Ergo docs. Everything's aligned, columnar. This is how my brain thinks. I'm trying to do things I normally do, and I mess up, man. Just leave me alone, man. Leave me alone, dude. Try my best, man. Anyways, but I think we have this. And then maybe, I don't know, what do I want to do with this? I think we just have to think about how we're gonna deal with initializing these datas here. Split counts equals 6. They're gonna have a default thing like this. I think should be just defaulted, though we don't want to have. The issue here is that level state. This is a list of level states. So you have to query. No, it might be better just have a dictionary. Do I want to do that? Do I want to do that? I think I want to do that. That means instead of, we not only have to like, on application start, so maybe we don't even just do this set split, but we should make this like an initialize. Like, I don't know, init level data. Yeah, and I guess we just use defaults first, because we're not going to use ID in here anymore. And then the best score, yeah, it's going to start with 0. So default value should be good for everything except for this guy here, the item IDs. We do need to supply the item IDs associated with this level. That has to be known just off the jump. So, okay, I guess, what did I say? List. There's a dictionary of item IDs. And then on load, we can deal with parsing this out later. I guess item ID, this is gonna be a thing that has to exist. So I might have to hard code. I don't know, I have to think about this. How I want to have this exist. But I know the contract I'm going to establish here is that you have to supply this. And it's going to be like an array, I think. I think that's reasonable. And then, what are we doing here? Level states. And we're going to assume that this doesn't exist yet. So what's the key value here? Yeah, same thing. And I guess we just use default. And that should be good enough. That should work. Default should work here. No. Because default, this is going to be null. Okay, this as a struct, I don't think it makes sense. I think as a class, it makes more sense. And then oh yeah, kind of need a little parenthesis there, don't we? So we add the splits and then we add the level states default value, which is just constructor, it just does its thing and it's fine. I think life is good. Is life good? I think so. Chill, bro. It's not that deep. It is deep to me, Alucard. Alucard, you came into my house. You poked the thing that I'm self-conscious about. You dealt 20 XP damage to me, 20k damage to me, and then you say it's not that deep. I'm crying. Anyways, isn't VS Code better than NeoVim? Nah, what? VS Code? What is this rage bait, dog? Like, in what sense? Let's say that's a question. In what sense? Like, maybe in terms of easy use for applications or plugins. Okay, for that kind of stuff, I think it's definitely better in that sense. You can just go into VS Code and just grab stuff like that. And you can instead add the idea Vim plugin and get Vim motions in there. But in terms of like speed iteration, like or customize like how deeply you can do stuff, you can do quite a bit with VS Code, honestly. Like VS Code versus Vim, I can't really. For me, it's not. It's more of a preference thing for people. VS Code versus an IDE like Rider, that's a very different story. Just because JetBrains products just offer a deeper level of like stuff, a deeper level understanding of your code base and refactoring and all that kind of stuff. But as far as them, like, I think it's just different demographics, honestly. Different types of use cases, man. Do you have hotkey set up? How do you navigate through your code so quickly? I use Vim motions. So there's an editor called Vim. It's a great editor. Oh my goodness, get out of here. Get out of here. Get out of here, dude. Yeah, Vim is a simple editor where it has this thing called Vim motions where you can navigate using JKHL for left, right, up, down, or up, down. And it's cool because it also has this idea of mode, so you can be in selection mode or visual mode and you can select objects, move them around, undo stuff, whatever. You can like select things in this kind of way and then do whatever and then do it like that. So you have a command mode and then you can do commands, so you can select things and then process stuff like replace, I don't know, float form, replace that with, I don't know, vector form maybe, and then just do it. But yeah, Vim is this old editor. Vi is this original old editor that has this idea, and then there's Vim and NeoVim, and then a bunch of IDEs and text editors have support for this as well. So you can install something called IdeaVim that adds Vim motions to whatever IDE you're using, and it's pretty good. It's pretty good. I enjoy it. It's a pretty good thing. I enjoy it. And it fits the whole ethos of like not having to use mouse. Like I like the idea of navigating my entire operating system without having to touch my mouse at all. Like I have this beautiful IBM mouse. I can't remember if we use it during the stream yet. But yeah, dictionary, init level data. I think this should be, no, because here we still have this dictionary that needs to be initialized. So I guess we'll just and then what do we need here? Is it just an array of, yeah, I think it's just an array of item ID, which is, no. And what shall we do? I guess just populate it. Actually, how are we gonna do this? There's some system link ways of doing it. You can do 4, I don't know. Into this hacking program so far, bro, are you almost inside the matrix? I don't know what you're doing, so I'm just guessing stuff. No, I'm just adding a new little feature. We were doing a lot of graphic stuff earlier today and yesterday. These actually past couple streams have been mostly graphic stuff. But now I'm like, all right, let's actually add some actual, something's not compiling right. Why are we not compiling? Oh, you're not compiling right. Come on. Compile, complete the domain. Is my boy killing the Java code or Spring join? Nah, we're just doing some basic C#. C#. Okay, now we can't. We have to actually use the mouse. Very tragic. So I know there's this thing you can do. There's this plugin someone had for Windows where it overlays a bunch of keys, and you can just like, it's like a grid of all these different combinations of characters, and if you type those characters, you select that part of the screen. It's pretty wild. But even for me, I was like, okay, that's a little too much for me. That's a little too hot to handle. Yeah, this is a game we're working on. I almost kind of wanted to do some... It's so much fun doing graphic stuff. Doing any kind of application code just kind of sucks, dude. Like, anything that isn't just gameplay logic is kind of lame. It's like vegetables, dude. It's like, I don't want it, but I know it's good for me. Like, it's so much cooler to even doing, like, tool development than application logic, dude. Like, application logic just kind of sucks. Or even graphics, because like graphics code is so cool because I could just go into a shader and manipulate it, and it just recompiles. I don't have to press play or restart any of that stuff. I could just go into my lighting model and break things or unbreak things, and life is just good. Life is just good, man. What was it? Volumetric. Yeah, I can just go in here and be like, hey, you know what? Oh, this is C# still. No, I'm looking for the volumetric fog shader. Yeah, this bad boy. I can just go in here and be like, you know what? How about we just make things, I don't know. Let's make things red. And we can just do that. We can just have this. We can just be in the red rooms. Life is scary. Or I can be like, hey, you know what? I don't want color. I just want depth. That's all we need. We just need depth information. And whoever said we didn't need depth information was a dum-dum. And then here we are. We have depth information. That's all you need. That's all you need. Like, it's beautiful. Or if you go, you know what? I want depth information, but actually flipped, though. You can just do that. Graphics programming is so fun and cool, dude. And it's a travesty every time I have to go into CPU. The CPU. CPU is way less cool, dude. CPU is way less cool. You could be doing this. Oh, the character died. Never mind. JK. But yeah, so we're in CPU land right now. And then I'm gonna probably do the fog. I'm gonna get this volumetric fog working in some form or fashion, or volumetric lighting. But that's it for another time. Game dev has to be the hardest on earth. Low to no reward for development of a dope game if no one plays. It's whatever. I make games for me. People getting to play it as a byproduct. It's the same way how I say, like, my music, like, you know, there might be quite a lot of people who like my music, but like, I guarantee you, no one has listened to my songs as much as me, because like, not during making it, even after I'm done with the song, I just jam out to my own music, dude, because I'm like, you know what, this is like, I'm my own, I'm my own greatest fan, dude. And the same thing with games, you know. Games are cool, and I want people to enjoy it, and I have a vision for what their experience is going to be when they play this game, and I want to hopefully achieve that, so that people can feel the things I felt when I played these games that I liked a lot. But the most dopaminergic part of this process is the creation part, and that's like the joy I get when I get to like be like, hey, this surface rendering thing actually works the way I intended it to. That's pretty cool. No normal maps, just shader logic. And weapons and vehicles, and you have your own GTA. Yep, and you know what? We got it. Why stop there? Online networking, and let's add lobbies, and let's add matchmaking. And you know what? Let's add a season pass to it, dude. Let's add a season pass while we're at it. And microtransactions, and I think the shareholders would be very happy with that. I think we should add gambling too while we're at it, like loot boxes. Because I think letting people pay for the thing they want is it's too nice. They don't deserve it. They need to earn it through gambling. And I think if we're going to add gambling, we should also target children with this game. Like, we should really advertise this to kids. I think that'd be a great recipe for us here. I think that'll make the shareholders super happy, very happy, and you know, great game, top tier game. But yeah, but yeah, graphics code is so much fun. Maybe I should look at making the display I'm gonna do for the items, because that's also kind of important. Maybe even like prototype like how it's gonna look like. Oh, there we go. Am I gonna have enough? I don't have enough space for text. I have enough space for text on this. Maybe make it a little bit bigger. Yeah, I want this to feel very kind of Final Fantasy-esque. It's weird. I have like the presentation of an RPG kind of. I came again. Please take my name one time. Take my name one time. Gamer Vibahav. Is that how you pronounce it? I'm not sure that's how you pronounce it, but I tried my best. And I'm not sure that's what you meant by take my name. You're crazy. Love from Bangladesh. I appreciate it, Hassan. I appreciate it, man. Add a spray gun. I was thinking about that. Not necessarily adding a spray gun, but we have this mechanic of cleaning up the levels. Like how would it look like to do the opposite or inverse of this? I'm not going to put too much thought into how you're going to present this, though. Because I think we're going to play test it with the players in the Discord and with you guys in the Discord, and then we'll go from there. I think that'll be enough. Because once we get validation that people actually like this, then we can put more actual effort into making that even better. Like if people enjoy it even when it looks terrible, then like they're for sure gonna dig it when it looks good, right? Yeah, like something simple like that. Okay, I'm not gonna think too much about this though. But level progress data. So yeah, we have this. And then we have our Messy Mansion application. Bunch of different stuff. Trying to think. So this should be as simple as just, caps lock. Caps lock? Oh, I'm in resize mode, aren't I? Whoops. And now I have caps lock on top of that. Should be as simple as just doing this, though. New level progression data, and then we should initialize this with like with the state information we want to have. In fact, we should probably cache this. That should like be all stuff you just have access to. Or maybe just make it public. Honestly, this whole backend thing, like, I feel like I overcomplicated stuff for the sake of reusability. I should just kept it very simple, but I think it's fine. And now we use this instead. Yeah, that's the thing I'm looking for. Oh, it's... Yeah, I should get rid of data. Just make it level progress. Why is this field like missing? It's not a static thing. It's a member function. It should exist. Level progression. There we go. Did you get this computer? I've been wanting to get one like it. No, I just got peripherals, honestly. This stuff is largely just peripherals. Is enemy players are hated that too much and we need to ring attack? Need a ring attack? Or range attack? Base i3 setup. Thank you, Hash Brown. 98 PC from my basement. That sounds sick, dude. I kind of wish I bought more stuff at the VCF. I didn't buy anything when I went to the Vintage Computer Festival. But now I kind of regret it. Oh well. Yeah, all this setup is happening here. Level progression. And then we can set or knit. Yeah, knit level data. And here's where we'd have all this stuff. What's the things I need here again? I don't remember. Yeah, the name of the level, so it'd be like, for example, level 1. And then the splits we have in mind for that. Which, by the way, we should probably add a verification that these splits are in descending order. But we will worry about that later. And then finally, what's the finally? I think there's 3 parameters, right? And item IDs, yep. So we can add does this require me to actually put the or do I have to actually put content? Is that what's going on here? Do I do 0? Is it fine? What's going on here? Anonymous type projection. Okay. Oh, I just have to indicate that it's an array. There we go. And then it'll be fine. I'm sorry. Why are you getting mad at me? Why are you mad at me, game? Let me make why are we angry at me? What have I done wrong to you? Item ID array. Item ID is public struct. It should be accessible. It's not in a name. It's not hidden in a namespace. So yeah, that should be fine. Okay, we're good. We're good. I just need to specify the type for this. Ha 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 ha. Never mind. I was being dumb. We're good here. I'm very jealous. Thank you, Pocket. It's not that hard, honestly. It's not that expensive, at least. I'm not sure about how hard it is, because maybe your area might not be as prevalent, but you'd be surprised we can find for pretty cheap. I got this for like 50 bucks, and then the converter is like an extra 20 bucks on Amazon. Don't overstress him. He's creating a masterpiece video game, and he's got to focus. It's going to be Game of the Year 2020. Guys, how can you expect an artist to work in this environment? How can you expect an artist to work in this atmosphere? I am Indian. That's why my name looks like that. Ah, gotcha, gotcha, gotcha. Well, I tried my best, okay? I tried my best, gamer. You can say Webhav. Where did you get the computer? I've been wanting to get one like it, 2D. Yeah, sorry to get back to you guys a little bit late. I got it at, so, first of all, this is not the computer. I just have a regular, normal computer, right? Regular old, normal computer. These are just peripherals that are old. So, I got these two at something called the Vintage Computer Festival. It's an annual event. Yeah, this, and that I got it there. the converters for the stuff to go from HDMI and whatnot. I got it on Amazon, and I got my because this is coming from my PC to a HDMI to component converter into a Panasonic VHS player. That's needed to deal with some currents that comes from the power. It causes offsets here, but by going to the Panasonic thing and then using the components back to here, you get a nice clean image, and that isn't very warbly. So sorry I'm a little bit late to that, but that's how I do it. That's how I acquired these relics. Hopefully that's of value to you. And these splits, I don't know. I should just do like, we have to specify that it's a float so it doesn't get mad at me, so it can do type coercion. So let's say you got to get 1,000 for that, and then maybe 800 for A rank, 600. This feels very arbitrary, honestly. I'm gonna have to do like a lot of playtesting and fine tuning to make this feel right. And how many different things I need? 6? Yeah, no, get rid of this. I'm getting rid of the E rank. Five seems fine enough for me. Yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 200, and everything else is F rank. You're bad. You're trash, kid. But yeah, that's kind of the gist of how the setup and how it works, how we do things around here. Let's see what we got going on here. So we have this level progression. I think this should be good. That should be serviceable at least. And then we're gonna have our function for this to query get state, and provided the string for the level name, and we're just gonna return my bad, guys. That's my phone. That's my Metal Gear Solid little noise I make when it's 10 p.m. Lets me know that it's time for bed, dude. But I'm still gonna go a little bit. I wanna get this done. I read the C++. You read the C++. Also, what's up, Osama? Osama Wise. You like this atmosphere very much? I'm glad you like it, man. We're trying to go for something very cozy, very relaxed here. That's the name of the game here. Yeah, there's some stuff I have to deal with there. Yeah, we need to address this. Level name. What do I want to do here? Oh yeah, we're gonna return state. If it throws, it throws. We'll add safeguards later. Said hi. Yeah, hello to you, man. Level states. Okay, well, let's address this problem here because you're not happy. No one's happy. But I think this should be fine. Yeah, that should just work. Cool. Now we have a thing for getting the state of this level. And then we also have to get a thing for getting ranking. So let's make it enum. Ranks, grades. I kind of prefer grades. It's more accurate to what we're doing. And it's just going to be, well, index 1 is S rank. A. Honestly, I don't even need to multi-line this. Yeah. 6 ranks. Perfect. And I don't want this to be arbitrary either, so I want to specify this. Though I think this should automatically actually be numbered this way, but I have trust issues, so we do things like this. This is how we do things, okay? Leave me alone. I have trust issues. This is how we deal with it. And here on this constructor, we provide level state IDs. Why do we do that again? Oh, because we're gonna do the thing. Yeah. I have a project and I need a programmer to convert data from 1 terabyte to less than 5. Brother, what? You want to convert 1 terabyte to less than 50 bytes? Yeah, brother. Easy. Let me pull up my ultra compressor-inator 5000 code I have for you, man. Let me send you that GitHub repo to the turbo encabulator. The turbo encabulator compressor. I guess I have feelings of nostalgia. I really like the screen layout. I appreciate it, man. Yeah, it's very much a nostalgia kind of thing. Very much a nostalgia type thing we have going on here. Yeah, what are we doing here? Yeah, screw it. Yep. What is the dictionary? Yeah, add. Initialize it. It's whatever. It's fine. I'm not gonna waste my brain on that. And then a GUID. And then I'm gonna need to figure out how we're gonna do this item management thing, because we need to have some consistent way of this. I'm using a GUID, but maybe I just switch it to a string, but I don't know, man. There are so many ways to go about this. So many different ways to kind of think about how we're gonna manage this data. But I think this is good enough for now. So now I can go back to here and let's start thinking about how we're gonna deal with this. So we're gonna have sprites for like S ranks, for all the ranks. So let's actually block it out a little bit. I'm gonna make a new layer here. And we're just gonna block out the general stuff we're gonna need and then go from there. UI. I don't like doing UI, but here, again, to make a game, you must do things you don't wish to do. And then the rank is going to be here. The actual score is going to be here. Maybe like 5 or something. Or 6 or whatever. It's actually kind of cool to validate, or important to validate the numbers and how we're going to do the typing here. Whatever, it's some kind of number that's going to be there. And then some delineator. And then all the slots for items. I think at most we should have like 8 items per level. So they're gonna have a little. So we're starting to figure out some stuff here. I try to organize and use artificial intelligence. That's rough, buddy. That's rough. Yeah, I'm afraid for what you're trying to do, you're gonna have to learn some programming, man. It's very tragic, it's very sad. Or maybe it's the greatest thing ever. It could be a turning point. It could be the pivot point. Either way, yeah, you're probably gonna have to do some coding. And read research papers. Because that's not trivial. I'm not sure if you're trying to bait me or something, man. I feel like you're baiting me with this. Yeah, items here. I still want to have 6. We can fit it in. I'm trying to get a feel for how much this grid is going to have to... What kind of space I'm working with for these items. So if I want to have 8, I have to have 4 things fit in here. Uh, 5 pixels. So this for sure fits 4, but we have a lot of space left here. So let's just try to utilize it a bit more. It's so weird using A-Sprite at this resolution. So what are we at? 6, 6. We can add a 1, but, and it's fine, but. I'm doing this in the dumb way, but it's fine. It's fine. And how many pixels we have left? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, we can at least add 2, I think 2 or 1 more pixel to each of this. When are you sleeping? How many hours you sleep? Are you talking to me? No. NitKKR. I'm not sure who you're referring to there. Oh no, NitKKR is part of your username. I sleep a good amount. I usually sleep like 8 hours. Good 8 hours at least. I try to be good about that. Sometimes I do biphasic sleep cycles though. So I have like 2. I sleep after I do my day job, and then I sleep after I do this. That's kind of how I go about my life. But I try to make sure I get good amount of sleeps. Okay, that looks good. That looks good to me. No. So this is a template. Just getting a feel for how everything's gonna fit within the space. And honestly, we can cheat because Unity's UI stuff like is not. You don't have to be snapped to a roster thing. We found a co-founder. What does that mean? What are you talking about, man? No, don't do this to me. You can't do this to me. Okay, here we go. Yes. No. Okay, what's going on here? Why are you doing this? Oh, because I'm... Yeah, it's going to move stuff around. There we go. Okay. So we can display the score there. We can display the items that you found here, and then they're either found or not found state. I think that's pretty good. I think that's pretty good, and then that just pops up over the door. I think this is good enough to start like prototyping stuff. Yeah, we can start prototyping things. I think this would be good, and then yeah, we'll figure out the ranking stuff there later. And I just need to figure out how we're gonna do this scoring, because unlike Mighty Gunvolt Burst, we have this whole thing where we have cleanliness. We have like the clean percentage of the level, or how much you've cleaned. And I guess that might be a better metric, is how much did you clean, and that'll add some amount to your score. So like if you clean the whole level, you for sure get like a passing score of like C, and that'll be enough for you to like go to other levels or something. Or maybe we don't even lock levels based off of that. But yeah, this should definitely factor into it. This is not as visible anymore because we're doing this rendering on the post-processing and no longer at the fragment level. So we can't like overdraw those fragments. That's a pain. That is actually a pain. That is, I could do like a redraw, but why? I don't want to pay the price of drawing things twice just to get this to glow a little bit. That's annoying. But yeah, so I think I'm gonna do like, make cleaning be like an additive scoring thing. And if you clean everything, you get a score of C. On your terminal setup, please. Yeah, I'll probably do that at some point. I know people have requested giving a tour of my setup and environment and how everything works here. So maybe I'll do a video about that kind of thing. 1 second, guys. Be right back. 1 second. I have returned. And now, with a little snack doodle for myself, something called Zero. It's pretty dang good. 1 second. But yeah, I'll make a video about my setup. Yeah, I think we did the hard part, or not hard part, but we did the main thing of like the data. So that's kind of important. We have this. I'm gonna save this into, where we're gonna save this. UI. Door level progress UI, and we're gonna do actual like make it look good later, but I just want to get a feel for how this is gonna be in game. And I think I might start implementing the hub world stuff. We talked about the 2 levels of things we need to do for this little navigation stuff. We did the backend game data stuff. Now we just need to do the in-game representation. I'm not sure if I'm going to do it now. Honestly, I might just do it another stream because it's getting late. It's currently 10:15 for me, and I have a wedding to go to tomorrow. So I want to get up early, be responsible, and be a good, not host, a good attendee, and show up on time. So, yeah. If there's nothing else, unless there's anything else you guys have in mind, before I hop off, I'll give like a few minutes before we do that. Hey, why are you using an old type monitor? I see it on social media. Lots of people flex their cool setup. Yeah, because we're going the opposite. You ever heard of Diogenes? Yeah, sometimes you'll be surprised by how much you can do with quite little. And honestly, I enjoy it. And it's also very different from my regular setup, from work and everything. I live so much of my life using HD monitors, and I still use one on the side here to read chat, but sometimes you just gotta go back and appreciate how things used to be. I need to make new emotes for the Discord. Also, hey, Very Creative joined. One second, make y'all. Glad to have y'all aboard. Make yourself at home. or yourself cozy. But yeah, it's you'd be surprised, man. Like, and also like my whole setup is oriented around not having to use multiple screens or windows. Like I only have what I need to focus on in the moment, and i3 and Linux lets me easily navigate around my terminal and do whatever I want to do. If I want to go to Astro, I can do Astro. Oh, I have to do CD and then Astro. I can do that. If I want to do file management, I can just go to Ranger and do my stuff from here, navigate. It's pretty great. Like, I like the idea, because we only have our eyes focus on one place at a time, right? So having all these windows and all these space and real estate oftentimes kind of is unused. Unless you're playing a game and you want to look like, have it be really nice looking. That's a whole different thing. But I think this also adds a little something to that. Maybe not as ideal though. But yeah, I think there's some value in it. I think this, at the very least, shows that, hey, my setup is good enough that it allows me to work very efficiently even within this tight, constrained area. But yeah, that's kind of the TLDR for me for this whole thing, and I enjoy it. Something nice and different. This might be redundant, but yeah, it's okay. Current score. Yeah, I have to iterate through this. Yeah, so we have what? Rank splits. I guess we'll do 4 each. No, we need to have index, so we want to do a 4. It's greater than... Oh wait, I'm iterating the wrong thing. Rake splits. Here we go. Yeah, that's what I need. Like NVim, NeoVim, or Emacs. Sale, it's good to see you here again. Yeah, I'm a Vim guy, but I'd like to try. I think I've been thinking about trying Emacs out because I've never done it. And I can kind of get Vim motions type stuff in there as well. C#, big time C#. Big Mac tear out. I do enjoy a Big Mac here and there. But yeah. But yeah, I don't know. Vim motions. I'm not even a Vim super. Well, I use Vim for a bunch of stuff, but yeah, Vim motions is the biggest thing for me. Vim motions is the big thing for me. Level grade. And then return E level grade F if none of these match. So if your score is not greater than any of these ranks, you get an F, buddy. You get an F. That's what you get, dog. Big dog. And why are you mad? Oh, because it's not a public enum, that's why. How do you manage notes and to-dos? I use Vim. I just do... Well, I mean, okay, if we're actually doing project management, then yeah, I actually use, like, Brisky. That's a nice offline option. Or Jira. But Jira actually nuked my old project. But yeah, I just used Vim. Like, literally, to do. I have a Vim... I made a little bash RC macro that just does this, goes to this file, and I just do my to-dos here, and Like this is for sure done. We're mostly done, I think. And yeah, this is my scratch space. I just, where I talk and where I do stuff, I just throw it in here. Usually when people ask questions, and we're good, dude. Why Pascal? I've never used Pascal. Some of friends in my college watching you daily to understand coding stuff things. Are they really? That's crazy, dude. That's crazy. I mean, I'm not sure how much you're gonna learn from me here, but I hope you guys get something. But yeah, because it's teaching language, it's very structured. Pascal, though, like if I had to teach a language, if someone had to learn a language, I would just choose C, honestly. But here's the thing, right? I never use Pascal. I've never been a Pascal guy. No, not unit. Like I don't even know I don't even know the syntax. But usually, I like recommending at least learning some C. You get to learn about the foundations of your computer, managing stuff from the heap stack, learning about pointers. Great place to start dealing with data structures and learning about memory addresses. I think not enough people are familiar enough with the hardware. I'm not sure if Pascal also does that too, but I know C for sure does it, and there's a large ecosystem of code written in C and C++, and if you know C, that's a good starting point to go into C++. C and Visual Basic. That I've never done Visual Basic either. But I know C is at least very good for foundations. I think people need to just do C. Even if it's not your long-term thing. I think it's just good for the soul. It's good for the brain. It's good for the heart to do some C. Some C never does you wrong. Never does you wrong. Okay, I think we have the things we need to do the things we need to do, I believe. Yep, a lot of stuff here. Let's also specify this stuff. Like, let me document this for myself. Actually, I feel like a lot of this stuff is self-explanatory. Saved into a level, and saved into a saved to file, saved to a saved game, or game save. That's such a save to game save. That's annoying. My journey: C, C++, Java, JavaScript, TypeScript, Go, Rust, C#. That's a wild. But you know, honestly, I can't. My journey's been wild too. That's pretty cool though. It's good that you get that. You get to get exposed to a bunch of different things. And I think it's good to deep dive into a language. I'm just waiting for Jai to get released, the Jai compiler to get released from Jonathan Blow, and start peeking into what peak looks like, because it looks really cool and promising. Yeah, but for me, it's a weird journey of like C++ to GameMaker language for a bunch of years. And then what happened from there? I had an internship that made me learn Python. I did very little of it. And then from there, back to GameMaker language. Then I got my first job and I had to do PHP. And then a little C#. A little PHP, and then I got this job and I started having to do a lot of C#, and then for fun I started learning Rust, and then I started learning C++, and that's where we're at right now. Back to where we started. From C++ to C++ is where we're at. Not including shader languages, of course. I'd love to get one like it. It's IBM Model M. I got it from the Vintage Computer Festival, but I imagine if you go, there's a yearly event up here in the States, in the North and in the South. They have it 2 different places, called the Vintage Computer Festival. Annual event. You can find this stuff for pretty cheap. I got this for like, I think $5, I think. And this monitor I got for like 60. This mouse for 20. Weird how like, but yeah, that's where I got this stuff at. Oh, I have new data in there. What was I? Why am I? Is there new data here? Oh, because I implemented this stuff and I started documenting some stuff. Yeah. Possible. Yeah, and then we're gonna do saving loading later. So I'm thinking about refactoring this whole thing. Alright, let's commit our changes for right now, because I think we got something significant at the very least. Oh my goodness. I'm gonna get my other keyboard one day and we're gonna be normal again. And then MMDK. Yep, and the Discord got updated there. Okay, Your Honor, do you have to convert it? I have to do a conversion. I have this Soars converter over here. This converts it into a USB format. You can make your own as well, but I got it from a guy on eBay who makes these. Pretty reasonable. He's in the UK, but it's pretty good. Pretty good. I accidentally ate some plastic. Whoopsie. I should have stole those keyboards and mouse from school back in the 90s. You could have, dude. These keycaps individually on eBay, you can like sell them for like $5 to $10 each. That's if I sold these keys caps individually, I could make a fortune. I could sell those for far more than the whole thing. It's the weirdest thing ever, dude. Or maybe because I bought it in person. The guy had buckets of these, and you could buy a bucket of these keyboards for $20. It was insane. But I had to scavenge because I before I bought this one, I took the best keycaps from the other ones and put it in on this. I think my friend had a second. We bought 2, like a donor board, and we just scavenged parts from it. So, and then we had to clean it up like crazy because these are like kind of damaged, or just very deeply stained. But hey, a little sprucing up, a little cleaning, and watching some YouTube, and bada bing, bada boom, we have this stuff. Also, we have these public accessors, but this data is public as well. We don't want that. We need to make these private. Whatever. I'm the only guy who's working with this. Thanks for your info. Of course, man. For sure, of course. As for this item GUID, I'm gonna have to deal with this later. Because I have to have all these items known. Maybe I just have to do that. I just have to manually just plan, hey, this level's gonna have this amount of items, and just remember to put them in there. Like authoritatively, instead of having to be the opposite where I place items in the level and they kind of smartly add themselves to this. No, we're gonna be authoritative with an iron fist, iron rule. Okay, though, so I think we're setting up stuff for the next level or for this new feature. I'm gonna start testing this out and designing some new levels in the hub world. Thanks you guys for watching, man. I think I'm gonna start calling it here and getting ready to sleep for the wedding I have to go to tomorrow. But thank you guys for hanging out. I appreciate the company. I hope you guys enjoyed this cozy atmosphere I tried to cultivate. I'm not sure how successfully I did it, but I think you guys find it pretty cozy. And yeah, guys, As always, we have the Discord. If you guys want to join and get updates on the game and be there for the play testing I'm going to be doing in there. And yeah, guys, I appreciate your company. It's really nice. It's very odd for me to have people here regularly. It's kind of crazy for me, but I appreciate it. So until next time, guys, stay cozy, and I'll catch you later.